The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is Speedball Mike Bailey. You're listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. Yosh.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, Keeping It Strong Style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out and bury all the frauds. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the ASA podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review the 52nd anniversary show and the first round of the New Japan Cup and cover all latest news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network or Keeping It Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You can also get all the network's podcasts over at socialsuplex.com. Check out our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/social suplex. That's where you can get your official Keeping It Strong Style t-shirt. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. Young boy, how you doing, man?
I am doing okay, as well as can be expected considering we lost an hour this weekend. And then you made me start the show 30 minutes late.
Yeah, the first time that I've done this.
Bro, this is unacceptable. I was ready at 8, and then you pushed me back another 30 minutes. That means I'm going to lose 30 minutes of sleep. Compound that with the 1 hour I lost the other day, which I'm still feeling the effects of that. Like, my week is fucked because of this 30-minute inconvenience. Like, and compound that with Gato's booking, and it has just been a terrible week all across the board.
Just terrorism.
Yeah, this is the terrorism show, and you are terrorizing me.
I've joined, linked up with Gato to ruin your life.
You, Jack Perry, PETA, you guys are terrorizing me.
Yeah. Sorry for the late start there, but we're here, and we've got this lovely New Japan Cup here to talk about.
Oh yeah, lovely. I'm literally at the point where I'm just wondering, like, how much of this do we let ourselves endure? Like, is there going to be a breaking point where the product breaks through and gets back to what we expect from this show, from New Japan, or do we just keep doing this because this is just what we do now, regardless of the quality of the product, regardless of how far down it declines? We just show up every week, like, for the benefit of the listener. I don't know. When do we stop? When do we throw in the white towel like we're Martha Hart in the I Quit match with Brett,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this...
Is there an Owen saying, Mom, he can't take anymore, and encouraging them to throw in the white towel? Like, I'm wondering.
I don't know. There's going to be something. I'm not quite to that point yet, but I'm
not there either, but I'm just reading the tea leaves. I'm like, well, when does that take place? Like, or are we just in it for the long haul, no matter how fucking bad this shit gets? Like, let's say a year from now, if it just keeps declining and we're like to WCW 2000 territory, like, do we just trudge through because that's just what we do now?
I think it would be time for, cover something else,
I don't think I can cover anything else with any real credibility. Like, the only thing I could cover would be like, I don't know, a retro show talking about 1980s territory wrestling or like shoot style. Like that's the only thing I'm going to be good for. Or maybe an MMA show. Like maybe I just cover MMA for the fucking network, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, MMA show, that could be good. I know a lot of people, I think Hawaiian Punch BV would love that. You know, MMA, boxing.
I don't think, what are you going to do? You can't, what are you going to cover, bro? Like you can't do AEW.
Hey, MLW is getting hot. My boy Kojima, he's on top. He's coming here to Tampa. There's a meet and greet. I might have to drop, you know.
You can't do MLW because it'll be hot for a month and then it'll be worse than New Japan. You know, that's not a winning formula.
I wonder if Tunnel Talk will let me join. Will they have a man on their show? Or I'll join, make it Trish, Sarah, and Jeremy.
Trish, Sarah, Jeremy. That's your only like or
I'm
One Nation Radio.
I'm joining all things elite.
Oh, One Nation Radio with Rich, James, and Jeremy.
We decided to make One Nation Radio even blacker.
Yeah, and I definitely can't join that show. You know?
What? You're not black?
I am not.
Oh,
Oh man.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's not there yet, but yeah, at some point we might have to be like, all right, what are we doing here?
Here's the thing. I'm being a little facetious here, but at what point do we allow this, abuse to continue? I feel like I'm in a bad situation and I need help.
Yeah.
I'm getting abused.
Who do we call? Is there a hotline for this?
Yeah, like who do we reach out to for support and to get through this situation? Is it Kenny? Do we call Kenny? Do we need to call, God forbid, TK? Like, what do we do here? Who needs to step in and right this wrong? Yeah, we call Paul. I don't know.
I don't think we call anybody over there right now. Oh man. Before we jump into New Japan Cup, just want to plug MJ Does PR, the Discord daddy. He's running a NCAA March Madness tournament for the Social Suplex crew. So you jump over to our Discord server, look up the Social Suplex Podcast Network, go on the channel there, or go to his Twitter at MJ Does PR. Got the link up there. You can join his March Madness Bracket Challenge, and people are having a lot of fun filling out New Japan Cup brackets. So here's another bracket for you to fill out if you're a sports fan of the basketball. MJ, I think it's the second or third year he's hosting our Social Suplex March Madness. So find the link and sign up for that.
Yeah, and if you guys want, like Jeremy mentioned, jump in the Discord. I've been in there a little bit, chatting it up just a little bit. Like I still don't like the interface, but throwing in a comment here and there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's where the people are at. I mean, every day I open up, there's somebody new has joined the Discord. We got, it's growing, it's going to pop in. Big shout out to Tunnel Talk and Trish and Sarah. They've brought in a lot of people to our Discord channel, and yeah, it's getting popping. We're getting conversation going on all different channels. So yeah, check out the Discord server if you're not in there.
Not all the channels. Chris has not joined the Discord and has done nothing with his channel. There's like 2 comments in there. His show is doing fantastic, but the art crowd does not seem to be a Discord crowd. But Tunnel Talk, their channel is like, I can't keep up with it.
Yeah, it's popping.
And it's silly. It's too silly for me. I'm a serious man,
All right, we had a question here from Def Triangle 720 that can kick us into our New Japan Cup review. He says, do you think the New Japan Cup so far has lacked urgency?
I have felt a sense of urgency about the state of the company and where we're headed in regards to the booking of this tournament. So no, I think there's a lot of urgency. Like we're in an urgent situation right now. It's not a good one.
Yeah, I think he was meaning like as far as.
Nah, I know. There's the big things that are kind of going on. A lot of Bullet Club / House of Torture / War Dogs. All the offshoots. They're all doing very well, but that's at the expense of a lot of like the more exciting names that you would expect in the tournament. Basically, spoiler alert, the entirety of the United Empire has been eliminated. And there's a lot of kind of names that are just in the tournament that are probably going to go far, but you're just kind of looking at it. You're like, I don't know. I don't know if most of these names are people that I want to see facing off with Naito come, Sakura Genesis. So, and it does feel, it's weird because there've been 5 shows in 7 days, but it just feels like it's just happening. Stuff is just happening. It's kind of lackadaisical. And it's mainly probably because there is a lack of excitement in terms of the match quality. Now, some matches have been pretty good and some have over delivered, but it's been a lot of snoozers. In fact, I'll go on record right now and say, I know I've been talking shit this whole episode, but this is a serious point. This is the worst New Japan Cup quality wise since we've done this show.
Yeah.
Point blank.
I was literally thinking back to that as I was watching. I was like, even the Pandemic Cup that Evil won was not as bad as this.
No, that wasn't even a bad New Japan Cup if you think about it. It was pretty good. The one that was kind of boring was the really big one where they had all the big stars go to the you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, the one where there was like 30 something people and like all
Shima was in it and went deep and lost to Okada.
Yeah.
That one got good at the end, but the beginning kind of sucked.
Right, because all the top stars had either like buys or they were facing bums until like we got to like the quarterfinal and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I am not feeling what has gone on so far, and there are some story points, and I mean, I'm all for narrative, I'm all for storylines, and I'm all for even comeuppances and evildoers getting their comeuppance and everything, but not at the expense of the quality of the work rate. At the end of the day, do all the promos you want, tell all the stories you want, build whatever you want as far as your booking is concerned. But those guys got to step between those ring ropes, and it's about a match at the end of the day. And if the matches aren't hitting, then the show's not hitting for me, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at that Tony Khan point. I mean, shut up and wrestle. Like, get out there and wrestle and do it good. Because some of these matches, I mean, have been fine. Honestly, it feels like a road. It feels like a road to like wrestling Don Daku. Yeah, like.
You know what it feels like? It feels like New Japan Cup USA.
Honestly, I don't. I think some of the USA Cups are better than what we've been seeing so far.
I mean, how is Yoshihashi my MVP of the tournament right now?
Because that man, we trying.
He's out there working. He elevated two inferior workers to passable matches in this tournament. He's the MVP right now.
Yeah, he's like, for years they trash talking me. Y'all not gonna embarrass me no more. I'm out here, killing it now.
Oh, you guys thought you were gonna sabotage me by putting me in there with Kenta and a broken down Sonata. Nah, we ball.
Oh man, but yeah. Overall, there's definitely a lack of excitement. It's a lack of importance. There's a couple of interesting story things that have been happening, but overall, it's just a lot of just.
And they slaughtered half of the Reiwa Musketeers or the young generation already, and the 2 guys that got through, one of them you don't even want to be in it at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it, but yeah.
All right. Well, let's start the 52nd anniversary show, and we can kind of run down the undercard stuff until we get to the tournament stuff.
Do you remember the angles? Because I watched this whole show, but I don't recall exactly the angles where they happen and everything.
Yeah, I think I have everything here.
Gotcha.
So the show opened up. We had Great Okan and Jeff Cobb defeating Tangaloa and Tomohiko Hanuma, 3 minutes and 47 seconds. So this was just a preview match for the Tangaloa Great Okan tournament match. So really short matchup. Cobb hit the Tour of the Islands on Hanuma to get the win.
Yeah, Hanuma, he told everybody he was going to be in the New Japan Cup, no dice.
Honestly, maybe he should have been in.
Bro, he probably would have delivered a pretty. It's funny. all these talking heads are like, Hanma needs to go, he's done, blah blah blah. I don't know, man. I think he works pretty fucking hard. I generally enjoy most of his matches, like 80% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw it, do him and Ishii in a first round match, like
I don't know if his body can hold up to all that.
Following that, we had TMDK of Mikey Nichols and Zack Sabre Jr. They defeated the GOD team of ELP and Hikuleo. This was previewing the Nichols and ELP match, and also kind of starting the story that TMDK might potentially challenge for the strong openweight tag team championships.
Post-match promo was mad funny because ELP was like, damn, Shane, Mikey, you guys hit fucking hard. And he was like, yo, that was Zach. He's like, are you sure that was Zach? He's like, yeah, Shane wasn't there, bro. That was Zach. And he's like, damn, I got hit harder than I've ever been hit in my entire life.
So after that, we had Goto, Ishii, Despy, and Bolton Oleg. They defeated Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, and Yototsuji. So a lot of preview tournaments there. So post-match here, we had Ishii and Despy shaking hands. So I don't know if that's Despy joining Chaos, Ishii joining Strong Style, or whatever. Well, I guess there is no Strong Style anymore. So it seems like Ishii has approved Despy of, joining something.
Yeah, I've only seen the post-match comments for this show, not the rest of them. I'm still working to catch up. But, Desperado didn't seem to indicate that he was joining Chaos backstage. He said something to the effect that, like, he was going to get back at Ishii and kick his ass. So, I don't know. I didn't fully understand this. Hopefully it's a little breadcrumb of whatever it is that's yet to come between these, different parties. I do know, though, that since Goto is like one of the most seasoned members of Chaos, and he's also the guy getting the buy in the tournament, backstage he's talking about him being the new leader of Chaos, but kind of giving me those TJP vibes. Like no one's gonna buy that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then after the handshake, Chase Owens came out of nowhere. He hits the package pile driver on Ishii, leaves him laying, and they have a tournament matchup. So he was, softening Ishii up for the tournament match. Then after that, we had the United Empire team of Callum Newman and Catch 2-2. They defeated David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, and Gato 7 minutes and 55 seconds. It's also previewing Newman and Gabe Kidd here, TJP and Finlay. And that was fun. Nothing really story-wise out of there.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I was just like, let's just keep it rolling.
Then we had just 5 guys of Doki, Sonata, Taichi, and Yuya Uemura. We got the debut of Uemura's new haircut, and they defeated the House of Torture team of Dick Togo, Evil, Red Narita, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
Yeah, the new shaved head look with the dyed red hair, and they talked about this on commentary, looks very, very much like the same kind of hairstyle that Naito had at a certain point when he came back from Excursion. And, I want to say that I think he might have, it's a little before my time, but I think he might have also lost like an Espuestas match in Mexico, and that's why he had the same haircut for a little bit there. So I don't know, but, you would kind of think, based on the fact that he lost his hair and is having this rebuilding story, but is kind of alluding to Naito a little bit with the look, that maybe hypothetically we might get something teased in the tournament, build to something that's like, nah, that's just not happening. So I don't know what the point of it is. And it's also kind of strange with Uemura right now, because maybe this will be a little bit of a slow burn story, but so far there's nothing that's occurred post shaved head aside from just the dyed hair to indicate what the next step of the story is. Like nothing's happened yet.
Right. And the only kind of big thing I've noticed is he's been using the arm bar more, the kind of the cross arm breaker arm bar. he wasn't really using that previous before losing the hair, so I don't know if he's.
Well, he did tap out Suji with it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of those gauntlet things. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
But
guess
other
there's
than that,
yeah.
not really.
So yeah, these came with a new look here. They got the win. We had a question here from West Commission 7252. Wouldn't it just be logical sense to have Marty Asami be the reason why House of Torture wins his matches instead of enforce a rule that if House of Torture comes to the ring or pull the ref out, it's automatic disqualification? At this point, it's either Marty is New Japan's worst referee alongside with Kento Sato, or New Japan needs to start enforcing strict rules instead of letting the wrestlers get their way most of the time.
Yeah, bro. It's getting to the point when I'm watching the show that I'm like, they need to do something. And I mean, my logical response to it is that they need to kind of instill some like deeper rule set to, you know, basically curtail what's going on with House of Torture and the other cheating heels, because it's too egregious. And I know in the past we've kind of, blasted House of Torture and their style of match, but it's beyond that at this point. Now it's getting to the point where it's like the wrestlers are putting their hands on the referees multiple times in a match, not just inadvertently, but like
on purpose, yeah.
On purpose, pushing them, pulling them outside, bumping them, basically whatever they want to do to them. And that's just one of many things that are happening in these matches. Like, they're actively cheating right in front of the eyes of the official. And at this point, the only way you can get fully disqualified is by literally using a weapon in the ring in front of the referee's eyes. Nothing else is getting dinged. And I'm like, well, do they institute like in the old days of wrestling, like some companies would have like, you'd get 2 warnings and then like after, or maybe a serious infraction, and then it would result in a disqualification,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, should we really need to be discussing like those kinds of excessive, stricter rule sets, just because the booking and the match layouts is bad? Like that seems, I don't know, like retroactive. Like we shouldn't be having to go back to what World of Sport did in 1976,
Yeah. I think there's a thing. There are ways, and we've said it before. There are ways to get heat without doing what they're doing right now, and I think that's what needs to be. There's more creative ways to get heat for all these guys than constant outside interference, the push-up bar, the garrote wire, lights out. Like, there's ways to get heat without doing all that.
Well, not even just that. I agree, but there's even a deeper level of it, and I hate to, obviously we're just fans, so it's not like I'm gonna sit here and be like, you guys need to work this way. But I mean, it's just a logical thing. When you do all the cheating right in front of the eyes of the referee, A, it's lazy. B, it doesn't get the kind of heat that you could actually generate if you're sneakily doing it behind his back, because then the fans want the referee to catch you, and they want the referee to enforce some of his authority or her authority. But that's not happening because it's happening right in front of the eyes of the referee. And the referee's taking no action other than just like counting and waving his arms.
Right.
Nothing happens. So they're just neutered.
Yeah, it'd be totally different if they were actually taking the ref and doing stuff behind the back. Because it could be like, all right, the ref is not seeing the stuff, and that's why it's happening. But no, they're literally doing most of their stuff like right in front of the ref. And
I mean, this match is just one example, and we'll talk about it. But like the Ren Narita Taichi match, I mean, the entire time he's choking him in front of the ref, he's raking his eyes in front of the ref, he's low blowing him in front of the ref, they're pushing the ref gets pulled out, the ref gets bumped. Like it's crazy. It's so crazy. Like I don't understand how, not that I want matches to end in disqualification, mind you, I just don't. We're getting to a point, and we've always complained about this for years on this show, and it's always been an issue with New Japan, but it's beyond what it's ever been before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
it's frustrating to watch.
It's very frustrating, and the fact of the matter is the Bullet Club has splintered into all of these sub-factions, and they're all doing it to some extent. Obviously, House of Torture is the most egregious offender, but anybody else that's a heel that wants to try and cheat and use some of the same tactics even if it's to a lesser extent, just because it's inundated on the show, they're all basically lumped in together as being like, what the fuck are we watching?
Yeah.
Like,
And
I don't get
it
it.
makes the baby faces look stupid too, because it's like, all right, if they're all gonna have their friends out there, why don't you have your friends out there? Why don't you like grab a chair then if they're gonna be grabbing weapons? And like, yeah, it's so bad.
And granted, every once in a while I get it. There is good heat with the House of Torture sometimes when you put them in the right position to be the spoiler, to maybe even getting upset on a guy and they go further and they're a real threat and the fans hate that, and so they want to see them lose, and that it has its place and purpose. I get it. But they've gone to the well with them so many times that right now they're rebuilding them up by pushing them excessively, and it's horrible to watch. Like, it's not fun at all. And granted, we are a Western audience, and so maybe we have different sensibilities. I mean, I heard recently that there was something where like the Japanese audience basically voted them as one of the most popular acts in Japan, but I don't know if that's true. It doesn't seem like that would be accurate, but maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe this is like super over there, but it doesn't seem like it is to me. I don't know.
Yeah, like you said, there are certain matches where you put maybe Evil, excuse me, you put Evil versus Naito in a main event every once in a while, or one of these House of Torture versus Lij kind of situations, and like you can kind of get the right heat sometimes, but then when it's every show, multiple matches, I don't know. I feel like some of the crowd reactions are not always what they could be.
Yeah, and it's coming at the expense of viable stars, people that could actually be a difference maker in this very tumultuous time in New Japan history, like Shota Umino and Taichi. And I know this sounds like, when my guy didn't win, I'm a fanboy and I'm just pissed. That's not what it is. We're literally at a point where they just lost all of their biggest fucking stars. And instead of pushing the potential replacements and putting them in positions to succeed, you're having them constantly lose to the same group that, no matter how anyone feels about them, even if they are popular, even if they have some level of success, you're never going to sell out a Tokyo Dome with the guys in the House of Torture. You're not going to do big business at Sumo Hall with these guys. You know what I mean? Like,
right, you're not gonna shove Evil in a Tokyo Dome main event.
This is a Cork and Hall act. They might do some okay business on the Road to shows and stuff like that, and maybe the B shows, but at the end of the day, you're not going to put the financial success of the company on the back of these guys. None of them, at least not with this gimmick and with this particular thing going on. And then at the same time, you're having the people that could be difference makers job at a time where they probably don't need to be jobbing. Hey, maybe 3 months from now, there's a bigger plan that we're not seeing, and maybe we'll be wrong, but it just feels like this is a very desperate time where they don't have the luxury of doing 6-month builds and 9-month and a year-long build to get guys ready. They need to be ready right now.
Yeah, and I'm afraid what's going to happen to these guys is that they're going to end up like guys like David Finlay or Juice Robinson, where it's like, for years and years and years, like, oh, they're pretty good, but then they keep getting beat, they keep getting beat, they keep getting beat. So now we're actually pushing Finlay, and nobody takes him that credible because he was, seen as a mid-card jobber guy for so many years, and people have a hard time attaching to him being elevated to a main event scene. And, all these guys like Umino who keep losing. Dude, I saw a Twitter account created that was like, did Shota Umino win? And it's literally them posting all times where he's just losing because he does not win.
I know, yeah.
It's getting bad. Like, he needs to start winning, and because he's at that point, he's going to become that mid-card kind of jobber geek where he comes out and people are like, he's all right, but he's probably going to lose.
That's called Master Watoism is what that's called.
Yeah.
That's called Okanism is what that's called. You bring these guys back.
Dude, Okan, I think that's even a perfect situation because he's a guy where he comes back. We were very high on him. Everybody's like, oh, there's plans for Okan. and he just keeps losing. And now he's down.
He pissed somebody off.
Yeah, he's KOPW level. We'll talk about him. He's eliminated first round, New Japan Cup. Like he's getting surpassed by the guys that have come after him.
Here's how bad it is. The people that are doing well in the Pick'em contest, like the one that Chris is hosting, Chris Amsa, shout out to him with Sport of Pro Wrestling. The people that are doing well, like Rambo and Slim Pig and other people, they're saying that they just booked based on the idea that they think Gato doesn't like us and is going to do the worst possible things you could hope for. And it all came true.
Yeah, a lot of the top brackets are because they're like, oh well, Gato's.
They're called terrorism brackets. They're like, we booked based on his terroristic booking, and they came true.
Mm-hmm.
That's awful. My bracket got busted because I booked cool shit. I did obviously the tournament's not perfect. We already discussed that during the preview last week, but I did the best I could do, and I was like, let's just pray to God some of this shit happens. No, none of it. Like none of it. It sucks.
Yeah. Well, that leads us to talk about the first matches on this show. We had Toru Yano, the first tournament match. He defeats Yujiro Takahashi in 2 minutes and 56 seconds by countout.
This was easily for me match of the night. I'm not even joking. I know it sounds funny, but it's no joke because a couple things. Number one, the return of Peter. Number two, 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Number three, I thought this was going to suck, and Yujiro and Yano went out there and had a comedy masterpiece in sub 3 minutes. It was hilarious. It was very, very funny, very, very effective. They didn't overstay their welcome, and, for some reason, I thought they were going to try to wrestle. They didn't wrestle. They just did shenanigans and hijinks and entertained and made people laugh. And ultimately, Yano was able to pick up the victory using, I think he used handcuffs.
Yeah, so what happened was, Yujiro attacks Yano at the beginning. They brawl the outside. He handcuffs Yano to the guardrail, but then Yano, was able to break free from the guardrail. Then eventually, Yano handcuffed Yujiro to, there's another guy on the outside, so they're kind of in a hugging position. So that guy's stuck on Yujiro. Yujiro can't get up, can't beat the count, and Yano gets the win.
Yeah, very, very funny. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but every once in a while, Yano, hits one out of the park, and this was one of those situations for me.
Yeah. Then following that, we had Yoshihashi defeating Kenta, 10 minutes and 55 seconds. Fine matchup here, like you mentioned earlier. Yoshihashi really doing his most to elevate Kenta here.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily, I'm not as high on this match as everybody else was, but this was a better outing for Kenta than we've seen in recent times, especially for singles matches. And fuck, Yoshihashi, man, he works his ass off, and nobody who wrestles him has an easy night anymore. You're going to war when you fight Yoshihashi. It's kind of funny because this guy, if you listen to the show in the early days, I fucking hated Yoshihashi. He was my punchline for everything, but he's a hell of a worker, man.
Yeah, I don't know what, it all happened during the pandemic, teaming up with Goto and Ishii, and whatever happened there, he's turned it on since then, and the last, 4 years now, he's just been working super hard, one of the hardest workers in the room, and yeah, had a really good matchup here with Kenta. This is the first time he's actually beaten Kenta. They've had several singles matches in the past. There was that whole feud where Kenta was stealing the bow staff, and the first time Yoshihashi's got a singles win over Kenta.
Yeah, big deal for him, big victory, and he moves on in the tournament.
Yeah, he had a crucifix driver to get the win and to move on. Also, we had Gino Gambino on commentary for this tour. He yelled that his bracket was busted with Kenta losing.
Well, what's funny is he actually didn't have his bracket busted because his bracket, all he did was who did he pick to win this thing?
I thought didn't he pick Finley?
Yeah, he picked David Finley, and all he did was circled Finley and then drew a straight line to the final. So that's his whole bracket.
I think he's been pretty hilarious on commentary.
He's been fantastic, and not only has he been fantastic, but Walker. I think Walker is just making so many strides. I'm surprised at how adept he is at knowing things that predate him. Kind of like more obscure references for some of the wrestlers, like move sets or just things like little details that I'm like, how the fuck did he figure this out? Like, what is, like he's picked it up so fast. It's kind of crazy. But
yeah, also clearly a student of the game, and he's putting that work in, and yeah, he's been great.
I think people are gonna be pissed hearing him do the Destino though, like he's Kevin Kelly.
So then, following that matchup, we had the New Japan debut of the Scapegoat Jack Perry, and he defeated the Roughneck Shota Umino 12 minutes and 20 seconds.
I wish this was 12 seconds. Yeah, he came out with the Black Phillip mask from The Witch, so I don't know. I'm not a big fan of when wrestlers wear animal heads to the ring. There's a long history of it, and generally speaking, it kind of sucks. I mean, you got like Mantar, he sucked. You got Sammy Guevara, he sucks. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the scapegoat head. I think it's kind of dumb looking, but I was pretty optimistic. Of any match on this card for the anniversary show, this was the one I was most anticipating and looking forward to. And not only was I disappointed, not only by the result, which congratulations, Jeremy, you called this last week, but the quality of the match and the methodology that they went with how they decided to, lay this out. My biggest qualm, it's not so much that Jack Perry joined House of Torture. It's not so much that he cheated. It's not even so much that he went over when I think that Umino's the guy that kind of needed the victory. It's that there's a way they could have done this with these two guys that are so talented, and there was so much heat going into this that I anticipated them to have. I'm not going to sit here and say a blowaway match, but something that was very good that could be the first stepping stone to an ongoing rivalry between them. And then maybe down the tail end, there's a cheat or whatever.
Yeah.
But they just didn't seem to gel. Like, I don't know. They really never kicked it into high gear. And then right at the point where it started to kind of get good, it just ended abruptly. I did not expect a 12-minute match from Jack Perry and Shota Umino as the first chapter in this saga, and then with all the cheating and everything, like this just this left a bad taste in my mouth, honestly.
Yeah, so towards the end, Shota was getting momentum. He was going for Death Rider, then Kanemaru comes out, distracts the ref. Ren Narita snucks in the ring. He hits Shota with the push-up bar. Perry then hits a running regal knee and gets the pin on Shota Umino.
I do understand there are other talking voices out there that are bringing up the fact that Jack Perry has had criticisms about his presentation, about his promo ability, and his presence. And the idea is that you put him into the House of Torture, and it kind of helps in all of those areas. What people seem to forget is that when you're part of House of Torture, it lowers the level of your work to a level to where it's unbearable. And the people that are working with them, unless they're presented in a way to where they're too cool for school and they're too smart to be upset by them, like Zack Sabre Jr.
Mm-hmm.
or like an Okada, the matches just really fucking suck, like they just suck. It kills the show. It kills the characters. This is what we call Bray Wyattism.
Yeah.
Fiendism, where the people that are fighting them are getting killed from a gimmick perspective, and nobody's getting over.
Yeah, and I'm totally cool with Jack Perry doing an excursion here in New Japan and getting some experience, but wouldn't you want him to do something else to get experience? Like, I was envisioning more of almost, obviously he's not the star level as Jon Moxley, but more of a kind of like loner kind of thing, and kind of has this one-off view with Umino. It's kind of just those two kind of thing, not him joining House of Torture and expanding that whole universe.
I'm not opposed to anybody joining House of Torture. The two most high-profile cases we've seen recently, both Narita and Jack Perry, are two guys that I would consider very, very, very good pro wrestlers. The problem is, it doesn't matter how much talent is loaded up in that group, whether it's Evil or whether it's Show or Umi or
Kanemaru.
Kanemaru.
Yeah.
Every single person gets infected with shitism, and just they become so shitty, and nobody can change the culture of that group in any way. Like, Gabe Kidd is like the shining example of a guy that like can be part of the War Dogs, and he can employ a lot of the same tactics and philosophy that the group has, but when it comes time to work, he gets his shit in, and he's going to get over, and he doesn't give a fuck about it. You know what I mean? These guys are not like that. They're like, we're going to get booed. And trust me, I do respect the idea. I'm old school. I respect the idea of getting heat, but you're supposed to get heat so that you can make the other guy look good so that you can draw money. And that's just not happening. So it's kind of just like, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, like the bad days of the NWO or like 95 Horsemen. Like it kind of sucks.
Yeah. So post-match, Evil, he hands Jack Perry House of Torture shirt. He puts it on, officially joins the group. Had a question here from the Discord Daddy. He says, what's the lifespan for Jack Perry in House of Torture? Also, if Jack Perry aligns with the Elite when he returns to AEW, does that mean Yujiro is Elite, or is Okada leader of House of Torture?
Well, Yujiro does have history with the Bullet Club and with the Young Bucks, so he's got history with Okada too. He was a member of Chaos at one point, turned on him. So yeah, I don't know. It does seem to be based on his backstage comments that he might potentially be poised to join the Elite when he returns back to AEW, but I just kind of think the kayfabe of these two companies are just two separate things almost.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, we've kind of seen, with the Mogul Embassy when they were over here, they were part of House of Torture for one day, leading to an angle. This kind of seems like a little bit more of a bigger thing. And also with Jack Perry scheduled for Windy City Riot, it kind of seems like he's going to maybe be in New Japan maybe for a good part of this year. So maybe he kind of rides this thing out until whatever they do bring him back to AEW.
Yeah. I don't know how long I don't know what how long this thing has legs, but part of me almost is like, yeah, he should have a long run here and he should really have a chance to spread his wings and grow and everything like that. But don't you want your guy to have buzz when he comes back to the other company? I mean, that was sort of the whole thing with Naito when he went to CMLL and he joined Los Ingobernables. It was like, oh, he's doing some cool shit over there. And then he came back and he debuted the gimmick, and everyone's like, oh wow, this guy is special. But this is the opposite. It's like, no one in North America is going to want to see him do this gimmick the way he's doing it right now,
especially in AEW.
Yeah, especially in AEW. AEW is a company where you need one of two things. You need to either be an incredible promo or you need to be an incredible worker. And we've seen how far his work can get him, and they're not focusing on the work aspect. So maybe this will help him with his promo ability, but New Japan's not really a promo company. I mean, he's getting the opportunity to do some backstage segments and stuff and get on the live mic, but nobody knows what the fuck he's saying. But, they speak Japanese.
Right. Dude, I imagine a conversation with Gato and TK when something like this, TK's like, you know what? All right, Gato, I'm gonna give you Jack Perry. Send him over there for a little excursion. And what are you gonna do with him? We're gonna put him in the Bullet Club. That's a great idea, Gato. Put him in the Bullet Club. Bullet Club gets people over. I heard about those war dogs. They're pretty cool. Yeah. Bullet Club. Yeah, he'll be in the Bullet Club.
He'll be in the Bullet Club. I did hear one of his. Again, I've only been through the first night, but I heard his backstage promo, and he did sound pretty good. I mean, he was doing like a quasi work shoot, talking about how he wanted to be released. And he asked for his release and nobody would give it to him. And there's only a select few people that actually had his back. I'm sure he's talking about the Bucks. So,
yeah,
that sort of thing. But we'll see. I don't know. So far, though, based on this one match and the other tag matches I've seen, I'm not impressed. And I think it's a bad thing when you're getting outworked by Chase Owens.
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
That's not good.
Same faction, kind of.
Yep. Kinda.
So then that leads us to the main event where we had the traditional champion versus champion, and the IWGP Heavyweight Champion Tetsuya Naito defeats the Junior Champion Show 22 minutes and 7 seconds.
Shitty match.
Yo, this was awful.
It is bad. The only cool thing about the match that I liked was how long Naito worked in his suit and was periodically taking off pieces of his suit throughout the brawl. But this was the first of many actually, no, the second on the night, because we already got the cheating with House of Torture earlier. And then there was more of it with Show, and it was just bad. It was bad. And the whole idea historically of the anniversary show, it's sort of supposed to be this big celebration harkening back to the first time that they ever had a show here, when Carl Gotch beat Antonio Inoki and everything like that. And over the years they've cultivated this junior champion. Well, not always, but typically it's the junior champion versus the heavyweight champion, and it's sort of like a dream match scenario. And in this case, it just wasn't that. It was everything that we bemoaned last week about what this could be and how terrible it could be. And I'll say another thing, Jeremy. I saw a lot of people on social media and in the media talking about how there were glimmers of the old Show in this match. I don't know what the fuck they were talking about.
Bro,
I didn't see that at all.
I saw those reports too. I actually saw those reports before I watched the match, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
maybe Show, decided to turn it up a little bit. And then
Me too.
I watched the match. I was like, what glimmer?
Yeah. Did we watch a different show than the show that also, okay, I'm going to tell myself a little bit here. I don't know why. There's just some things that I don't notice, and then I'll notice it and I can't unnotice it. I always knew Show had bad cauliflower ear, but I never have really paid attention, and for whatever reason, it just caught my eye. This man has the worst fucking cauliflower ear I have on both ears of any human that I have ever seen in history of life. How did I never notice this before? Have you noticed how bad his cauliflower ear is?
I mean, I've known I know he's always had them, but I never really examined them.
Bro, I can't unsee it now. His ears look fake. He needs to have surgery. He needs to have corrective surgery. Yeah. I don't think they're probably calcified. I don't think it can be drained now.
Yeah.
But he needs help. It's bad. But yeah, this match sucked, bro. And Naito won. I don't remember that much about the match, honestly. There's just so much cheating.
Yeah, towards the end, how the Torture all came in the ring. They were stomping out Naito. Then LIJ ran in and made a save. So they kind of cleared the ring, which allowed Naito to hit the Destino on Show to get the win.
Last thing I'll say about the show, most of the tag matches were pretty enjoyable. There were angles. I thought we were off to a good start. And then, the comedy match happened, and that was great. And then the Yoshihashi and Kenta match was not great, but it was better than I sort of expected. And I was like, okay, this might be a salvageable show. But those last two House of Torture matches just fucking sucked. And I was
Yeah.
like, damn, this is the first. Obviously, we're in the middle of the tournament for New Japan Cup, but like this is the first major show until we get to the finals. And this is a bad anniversary show.
Yeah, really bad. You know, you're supposed to be honoring the legacy of this company and the history, and yeah, Inoki's rolling over in his grave with this main event.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah. So that takes us to the following night, night 2 of New Japan Cup from Cork and Hall. So it was March 7th.
We actually had questions about this match.
Oh yeah, skipped over it. Hawaiian Punch BV says Umino cut his Naito hair, but Umemura went for the shaved Naito look. Has Naito been the true ace all along?
I guess so. But no, because he's never been the ace at all.
And he says, is Naito an unsafe worker? Sho was wearing a neck brace, sling, and in crushes. Not to mention Naito was taking full advantage of his heavyweight frame. I mean, it looked like Akibono versus Hornswoggle out there.
That's kind of funny. Now, the one thing I will say, they did 1,000 more people in attendance for this show than they did the previous couple years, which probably does speak to the popularity of Naito, even in the face of an opponent that I would say most people weren't that jazzed about. Or maybe maybe I'm mistaken and there is some money in the House of Torture thing. But I was a little surprised they did so well. But my whole thing with the Naito run is like, I just don't know how much legs they have from a health perspective.
Yeah, like how long can he actually hold up? He's having a lot of defenses coming up, it seems like. And yeah.
Yeah, this happens with wrestling companies when they're not ready to pivot. They end up relying on the old guard beyond the time that they need to be doing that because they haven't built up the right young stars to replace them yet, you know?
Yeah. All right, let's run through this undercard and get the tournament matches here. So, night 2, Cork and Hall, we had Bishamon and Bolton Oleg defeating ELP, Hikuleo, and Jado. Just another preview match there. Then we had TMDK, Nichols, and Sabre defeating Togi Makabe and Toru Yano. So that was just kind of a random match there.
We can just roll through them unless there's an angle or something. I mean, I don't have anything to say about any of these undercard tag matches.
Gotcha. Then we had Callum Newman, Francisco Akira, Jeff Cobb defeating Gabe Kid Kenta and Ishimori. Then we had Evil, Jack Perry, Ren Narita, and Kanemaru defeating Despy, Umino, Hanma, and Yo. Beginning of the match was supposed to be Sho in this match, but like Hawaiian Punch BV alluded to, Sho came out with the neck brace and the crutches and saying that he was not cleared to compete for this matchup, and so there he was replaced by Jack Perry. Also, we had Yo that came out here with a backpack. He had the junior title in his backpack, which I don't even remember when Yo stole the title from Sho, but they've been teasing now that we're gonna get Yo versus Sho at some point for the junior title.
What was the last show before he stole it from him at New Beginning?
Oh yeah, that's right. Was it right after Sho beat Despy?
I don't remember, man.
Yeah, I think it was because that was New Beginning Support Night 1. I think after that match, Sho.
No, it was like the next night because he beat him on night 1, and then on night 2 there was a multi-man tag.
Oh yeah,
he stole it from him the next night.
Okay. So yeah, apparently he's had the belt this whole time, and so he came out wrestling in a backpack. He had the title in the backpack.
They do keep talking about how he's wrestling better and having more success in his tag matches, and they're like, maybe because he has the physical, he physically actually has the tag or the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. It psychologically gives him more confidence because he feels like a champion. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know one of the nights he had the Roppongi 3K get up in the backpack, and Sho stole it, and he thought he was getting the title back, and then he opened it up, and it was his old fucking gear from when they were in Roppongi 3K together.
Yeah. And again, very questionable booking here. Like, why are we doing Yo versus Sho again in a junior title program? Like, those guys have some of the worst chemistry as foreign partners. Every singles match they've had since the split has been trash. I'm not looking forward to a Yo versus Show title match.
There was a pretty prominent Twitter like profile that a lot of people follow, a lot of people interact with and know, and they're like dedicated to New Japan. And I had to silence them because they were going on and on about how jazzed they were for Show and Yo part 25. And I was like, no, we gave this match so many chances over so many years on so many stages, and it's always sucked. It has sucked every single time. I bet you the best match that they've ever had against one another was when they were both wearing the black trunks doing Boston Crabs to each other. That was probably the best version of that match they ever had.
Yeah, let's see if I can pull up the cage match real quick and see.
There's not even going to be a cage match for one of those matches. It's going to be, it's going to be before, like, it's going to be from 2010, or some shit like that.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Just for curiosity's sake here. All right, let's see. Match constellation. Let's do 1 versus 1.
You're looking at the match guide.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rivalry.
Okay.
So there's like no cage match ratings I'm seeing on any of their matches. There's some Dave ratings here.
That might be because sometimes cage match just starts fucking up. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. So they had a match in 2022 that Dave gave 3 stars.
Here, I'll look it up real quick.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at this shit.
Yeah, Dave gave their 2021 match.
Oh, yeah, cage match is fucking up right now. Most of their matches, the ratings are gone.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not going to work right now.
Oh, hold on. So I clicked on it. So their match in May of 2022, 3.69 on cage match.
Right. If you click on the individual match right now when it's fucking up like this, you'll be able to see the real score, but it's not going to show on the database like it normally does.
Yeah.
They're probably like doing updates or something.
Yeah. February 22, 4.5 on cage match. My goodness. 6.94. Yeah, this is not looking good. I don't know what has compelled Gato to run this rivalry back and run this match back, but yeah, these guys have not had anything close to a great match yet, so this is not going to be good.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of those matches you listed don't even look like they're 3-star matches.
The highest one was like 6.59, I think was like the highest, and Dave gave one.
So that's like a 3.25 star match, which is like a pretty good match. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that's their ceiling. And that they did that once, and it was probably the Tokyo Dome match.
Yeah, Dave gave one of their matches 4 stars.
Well, Dave smokes crack sometimes.
The Wrestling Grand Slam match, and cage match has it 6.53.
Yeah, that's not lining up, Chief. That's not 4 stars.
So these guys, worst chemistry of partners. I really don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it at all. And yeah.
So following that, we had Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, Naito, and Tsuji defeating Doki, Sonata, Taichi, Taka, and Yu Uemura. Then we got the tournament action. We had the Crown Jewel Chase Owens defeating Tomohiro Ishii 16 minutes and 20 seconds.
This was very surprising in a certain sense because this match was very good. People are going to say it wasn't very good, but it was very good. And Chase Owens virtually, I mean, there was a little bit of shenanigans in the beginning of the match, but he pretty much beat Ishii completely clean. Not too surprising from a certain standpoint because right now he is one half of the IWGP Tag Team Champions. And the winner of this match would go on to face Goto. I know a lot of fans wanted to see Ishii and Goto, and obviously I'm right there with you. But from a storyline standpoint, the fact that Bishamon are angling for IWGP Tag Team title matches or shots, it makes sense that Chase Owens would go through. The other thing, too, and people kind of forget this, Chase Owens kind of has a streak of big upsets in Cork and Hall over opponents in clean manner. He defeated Juice Robinson in the 2019 New Japan Cup in Cork Hall, and then in the G1 a couple years ago, he beat Tanahashi like on the first night clean. So this is like his third big upset in Cork Hall. And yeah, I hate it from a certain aspect because I don't necessarily, on a personal level, I don't think that Chase Owens is necessarily the best, a good guy. But, you know, if you listen to the early days of the show, I was a huge fan of Chase Owens. For anytime he was allowed to kind of spread his wings and have a good match, he usually delivered. And somebody that he has delivered with in the past is Ishii. This is a really, I mean, this kind of like would not be, to me, a match like that was out of place on, like, let's say night 11 of the G1, third match from the top. Like, that was the kind of quality that we got here. I thought this was this killed everything quality wise from the first night of the tournament and was just really, 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 really good. And yeah, Ishii has great matches with tons of people, but like this was kind of like vintage Chase Owens.
Yeah, I thought this match rocked, and I know a lot of people don't like Chase Owens for professional and personal reasons, and a lot of people kind of harp on his in-ring and his style, but when you look at it,
and his physique,
yeah, he tries to do, like, he's like a watered down like Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, and he does a lot of their moves, a lot of their sequences, and clearly he's not as great as those guys, but he's using their moves, and those moves are great, and he's in a guy like Ishii, and so he's doing like cool sequences and cool moves, and the match was really good.
Yeah, the match was really good, and the ratings online don't reflect that. But listen, guys, we're not going to lie to you here on this show. You listen to Keeping It Strong Style, we're going to give you the fucking real. And like this match was really good, and yeah, this was I wouldn't say recommend in the sense that it's like, oh my god, you gotta go out of your way to see it. But like, if you're like, what tournament matches really delivered, especially like over delivered in a sense where I didn't expect that, this was one of those matches. I went 4 stars on this.
Yeah, same.
Okay. We haven't even talked about it, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm notebook on this. So yeah, really great back and forth. Chase Owens, like I said, busting out all the cool moves, hitting a Styles Clash for a near fall. Ishii had a big superplex at one point for a great near fall.
That was sick.
Yeah. Chase hit the Snapdragon again. You know, these Kenny Omega moves. He's busting out the C triggers. For the whole match, he's fighting for the package pile driver. Eventually, he gets the clean pin on Ishii.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed now that all the stars are leaving, their moves are up for grabs, and people are just grabbing them. You know, you got Tangaloa out here doing Kamigoyes, but terribly.
Yeah. So the next matchup we had, speaking of Tangaloa, we had
Tangaloa.
We had Tangaloa defeating the Great Okan, 15 minutes and 50 seconds.
All right, I know that no one else is going to agree with me here, and I know I'm just kind of out on this weird limb. And every once in a while, a match just kind of connects with me for whatever reason, and it really shouldn't. I thought this match was pretty good. Not going to overinflate it and be like, this was great, because it wasn't great. But I seen scores, and it's like got a 3 or something like that on Cage Match, or like a 4. I don't know, man. I went like 3.5. I thought that this was, considering that it was Tangaloa versus Great Okan, I really thought this was going to suck, and it did not suck. They worked their asses off, especially like Tangaloa, like tried his hardest. And one thing I've noticed, you know that it was Gift and all the like that whole sequence he did against Okada. Mm-hmm. He's really like tightened that up, and it's actually kind of good now. You know, which is cool. But I thought this match was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
and I was surprised. I wasn't happy with the outcome, but I was surprised by the outcome. Mm-hmm. And New Japan Cup is all about bracket busting and upsets.
Yeah, something you said last week made me realize, oh yeah, it makes sense for Tangaloa to win. Because last week we were talking about Great Okan, and you're like, well, he's KOPW champion. It wouldn't make sense for him to like be winning and going further, because anybody who beats him, like, are you going to put them
Bro, me too. I realized it too late.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense now, have him get the first round upset, so eventually we're going to get KOPW Tangaloa versus Great Okan.
And Chris was like, KOPW doesn't matter.
But yeah, I mean,
Normally he'd be right, but apparently it matters enough to get a Tangaloa win,
yeah.
get that dub.
I thought the match was fine. I don't think I'm as high as you are, but I'm not as low as other people are. Like it was a fine matchup. Gentlemen's 3. For me, yeah, Tangaloa, he hits the Kamigoye. I think he's calling it the sacrifice, something like that.
Bro, he hit that so poorly on Ghetto the other day, and they put it on social media, and it got ratioed so bad that New Japan social media took it down.
Oh man,
I can't remember any time they've been ratioed that bad to where they got bullied into deleting a post.
Yeah, that Kamigoye did not look good.
Oh, so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
So we got the big win here, big upset to move forward. We had a question here from Def Triangle 720. Do you think Tangaloa is a fit for the company anymore after his performances these past couple years?
I'm not going to advocate for the guy to lose his job. I do wonder what the creative plans for Tangaloa are, because all these years he was mainly, aligned with his brother in a tag team, and then every now and again he'd get a little bit of a singles push, but for the most part he was part of God. And now, God doesn't even really include him. It's like his younger brother and ELP. He's wearing the same gear. The presentation hasn't changed. The music hasn't changed. The work hasn't changed. He has added a little bit of a wrinkle, but, there have been injuries that have persisted and seem to still be affecting his work up to this point. I'm wondering what they can do. I don't want to be like, oh, they need to fucking fire him. Like, no, I'm not. That's never going to be me. But I do wonder how they utilize him at this point and what the best utilization would be.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. 'Cause I feel like he had strengths in that tag team and kind of being the guy that comes in and cleans house. And he's kind of hit or miss in a singles role. So yeah, I don't know what you really do with him.
Well, here's the one thing I will say. If God is going to actually be its own thing, long term, I don't think that it benefits either ELP or Hikuleo to be in a tag team. So maybe they could each pursue like singles runs, and then maybe Tangaloa could team with somebody else. I wouldn't say like call it God, but maybe he could form a new tag team with somebody else, because I do think he's a very, very good tag team wrestler.
Yeah,
maybe put him with Sonata. 2 really good tag team wrestlers.
Yeah, have him join Just Five Guys.
Something, I don't know.
So that takes us to the main event of this evening. We had the Rebel David Finlay defeating TJP 16 minutes and 17 seconds.
I like this match a lot too. This was to me, this was kind of like an unsung great night of wrestling. I know that I looked at the scores and people just kind of don't agree with me whatsoever, but Dave Finlay and TJP, they've got a lot of chemistry for whatever reason. They had that match in the US recently that was really, really good, and I thought this was on the same level as that match. I'm not a huge fan of the Oswong gimmick, but he busted out the mist and kind of integrated some of that. There were some really great near falls where I was like, damn, I thought that TJP won the match a couple times and they kind of got me.
Yeah, there was some really close near falls towards the end.
But ultimately, David Finlay was able to weather the storm and pick up the win. And I think he cheated a little bit, but like, I'm just finding I'm finding War Dogs so much more palatable at this point, even though we don't really know what the War Dogs are anymore after that cage match. Just like, is everybody still around? Like, what's happening? We don't know. But I'm finding them much more palatable than I am House of Torture. And I at the same time, I cringe a little bit because I'm like, David Finlay might win this tournament. In fact, I almost turned in a bracket with David Finlay winning 3 times, and each time I was like, I'm not fucking doing that. Like, I know that it might be right, but I'm not doing it. And I turned in a totally different bracket that I knew was a loser, that I knew for a fact was not going to win. Because I didn't want David Finlay to win, but I kind of feel like he might win the tournament.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance. I think he could potentially fail up after losing to Nick Nemeth. But yeah, this match was pretty good. And like you mentioned, when it comes to the War Dogs, like with them, at least they're actually wrestling. Like they're actually having wrestling matches before the heat comes, or if there is any cheating, it's not as egregious as House of Torture. We're not seeing refs get pull out and stuff like that. There was a point here where Gato did jump on the apron to distract the ref, which allowed Finlay to grab the shillelagh to try and hit TJP, but then TJP spit the red mist in his face, so it kind of counteracted that, and it was all behind the ref's back. Only spot in the matchup here, which gave TJP the advantage, hit the Mamba Splash for a near fall, and then locked in the STF, but then Finlay was able to come back, hits a power bomb and the cross strike to get the win. So yeah, so really good matchup here. Post match, Finlay said on the mic, 1 down, 4 to go. Talked about how he went to the finals last year and he plans to win it all. And so, like you were saying, Josh, yeah, I think there's a really good possibility of Finlay getting the win here, especially since he's a guy that beat Will Ospreay twice before Ospreay left. So following that, we had the next night here, night 3, March 8th. Showing up, we had Goto, Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Gucci defeating Owens, Finlay, Gato, and Kenta. We had Nichols and Sabre defeating ELP and Hanma. We had Despy, Umino, and Yo defeating Dick Togo, Evil, and Jack Perry. There was some shenanigans there of Show, again, coming out trying to get the title. Then we had Doki, Sanada Taichi defeating Ren Narita, Kanemaru, and Yujiro Takahashi. Then we had Akira, Great Okan, Jeff Cobb, and TJP defeating Bushi, Hiromu, Naito, and Yota Tsuji. And then that brought us to the tournament matches of the evening. First one, we had Hikuleo defeating Boltin Oleg, 9 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yeah, so this was okay. I mean, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, and it kind of speaks to what I was questioning last week, where I was saying whether it was the best idea to have Hikuleo be the guy to guide Boltin Oleg to, in his first tournament match. I don't know if that was a wise decision. They did kind of tell a story where essentially Boltin Oleg was struggling, even though he's a big man, struggling to kind of get Hikuleo to leave his feet. And then down the stretch, after, many, many attempts to get Hikuleo to leave his feet, he was able to get a spinning belly to belly, got him on his back from there, got a few near falls, kind of heated up. Very reminiscent of if you've ever seen like a Young Lion match where they heat up down the stretch and get the near falls and the near submissions. That's kind of what happened. But at the end of the day, the choke slam came, the God's End, and he ate the 1, 2, 3. The work wasn't bad, but when you compared it to what was on the rest of the card, it was like night and day in terms of intensity, in terms of like speed and fluidity. The work was fine. It was just kind of slow and kind of lumbering, which I guess is to be expected for big guys, but this is also New Japan, and there's kind of a working level that you sort of expect.
Yeah, I really wish they would have given Boltin either like Shingo or Uemura. I felt like that those could have been two guys that could have had a really good match with him in a kind of spotlight performance. Putting Hiro Hikuleo was kind of we questioned it last week, and yeah, it was fine, but I feel like he needed somebody a little bit more seasoned to lead him through in a match like this.
Ishii.
Yeah, they could have given Ishii a first round win here, and had a good first round matchup with Boltin Oleg. So I know everybody kind of wants, it's all in on Boltin and wants to get the big push, but clearly there's still some work that he needs to get done, and you're not going to do that with him facing Hikuleo.
Yeah, and I mean, the most similar situation that I can point to in modern times when it comes to young lions would be like Katsuya Kitamura. And Kitamura was kind of a little different because when people were sort of wanting him to be pushed, I think he might have been a little bit more complete as a wrestler or as a performer than Bolton Oleg. But it seemed like they were getting him poised to do like a Brock Lesnar, Goldberg sort of squash people sort of thing, which there's only a certain amount of shelf life you have when you're doing that sort of gimmick. And as of now, they're not really seeming to present Bolton Oleg in that particular manner. So if he is going to be expected to work in a more traditional way, yeah, there is some seasoning that still needs to kind of take place here.
Yeah. So now, following that, we had War Ready Gabe Kidd defeating the Prince of Pace, Callum Newman, 14 minutes and 10 seconds.
Okay, I'm fucking lost here because I don't know what the deal is. I went online again just to kind of help myself out. I know I keep mentioning the ratings online, but I just find it kind of helpful to see what other people are thinking, what the fan base, what the audience is saying, and like, but at the same time, I still form my own opinions. Jeremy, I thought this match ruled. I thought this match was fucking awesome. So it's got like a 4.
There is a contingency of fans that do not like Gabe Kidd for whatever reason.
I'm like, what's going on? This match was awesome.
Yeah.
And they hated this match, and I'm like, what are we talking about? This was one of the best matches of the whole tournament so far.
Yeah, there are people who hate Gabe Kidd for whatever reason. People don't like his gimmick. They think he's an edgelord. They're just not into him and the War Dogs.
Edgelord is.
Well, it's kind of like, he's always kind of trying to like be the madman and push the envelope and kind of be like this, I know, tough guy when maybe he's really not, kind of thing.
Oh no, I would hate for somebody to try to get over. Yeah, this has a 5.98, which basically means, around 3 stars, maybe sub 3 stars. I thought this was way better than just an average 3-star match. I mean, they went out there in 14 minutes and they worked their asses off. Callum Newman was flying and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. The brawling. There was one thing that happened though, that we do need to bring up, and I don't know if you noticed this. So they went to the outside, and the house was not sold out, and there was a big swath of chairs that were just completely like empty.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabe Kidd led Callum Newman, and then he tossed him into the chairs. But I don't know if they weren't thinking or what it was, but they didn't notice, or maybe they did notice and just didn't care. But there was a little old lady in a fucking wheelchair right next to the area where they started brawling. And maybe that's their fault, or maybe it's a combo of the two. Maybe it was also like the young lions weren't where they needed to be in position to like protect the audience. But when they came back, and I'm kind of speculating here a little bit, but I'm pretty good at reading people. And like, Gino's whole thing is he's supposed to be like Bullet Club and like talk them up and be the heel commentator. And another thing we haven't mentioned, Gino is in incredible shape. He has lost so much fucking weight.
Jacked. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's jacked. But the camera panned to him after this whole thing happened where the little old lady almost got hit, bro. Like, and I'm not like the safety police, but like they almost fucking hit an old lady in a wheelchair, and someone had to come wheel her away. And when they came, and then from there, like the referee, I don't know if you noticed, the referee ran down, was like, yo, you guys need to fucking get back to the ring. I think it's because they almost hit that lady, and they're like, you can't be out here. Like, you endangered people. And like, Gino was not talking for a long ass time, and he just had his arms crossed, and he looked mad as fuck. Like, I was like, I think he probably saw it happen and was like, yeah, fuck this kid. Like, he looked pissed, and maybe I'm just imagining things, but like, I don't know, bro. I'm pretty good at reading people. I think he was pissed.
I mean, maybe he was, and again, I think that's kind of leads to why sometimes people don't like Gabe Kidd, kind of some of the stuff he does. But the match had intensity. That whole opening sequence was really good, and Cal Newman, how he runs the ropes is awesome, and this was kind of a continuation of the heat from the cage match with War Dogs and United Empire. And so, yeah, I thought these guys had a great back and forth here. Newman had a lot of really great near falls. He fought all match to hit the Oz Cutter move handed down to him from Will Ospreay. Towards the end, he went for a shooting star press, but Kid hit a big clothesline for a near fall brain buster, and then he hit his pile driver to get the win.
Yeah, that clutching pile driver is really, really cool. Yeah, I thought this match just fucking rocked. I give a big recommend here. I was probably a little surprisingly, maybe a little, but this is more so due to the time, more not so much the work, but like I was like 4 on Ishii and Chase Owens. I'd probably go like 3 3/4 on this one, but if someone went 4, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Then main event, we had the Dragon Shingo Takagi defeating the Heat Storm Yuya Uemura 23 minutes and 22 seconds.
Here's another situation where I'm deferring quite a bit from what I'm seeing online. I did not like this match, Jeremy. I don't know what the deal was. I can't really put it completely together, but this was too long. And this is Uemura's first match with somebody post excursion that wasn't Tsuji, right?
Yeah, first singles, yeah.
I don't know if maybe it had something to do with, maybe him losing his hair and there's a story being told, but I was just bored with a lot of the work here. I was not inspired. And considering that, how high I am on Uemura and the fact that he's in there with arguably maybe like one of the 2 best wrestlers in New Japan today, I don't know. I just was not, especially in a main event spot, I was not impressed here whatsoever. I was thoroughly bored and kind of disappointed.
Yeah, I thought the match was fine. And I don't know what it is with Uemura. This is the second match in a row now where it's kind of had this kind of slow, methodical pacing. And, with the right guy in the right situation, that could be fine. But with Uemura, like, I'm not trying to see that. Like, I think he really needs to make a splash. And, he has those great arm drags, a great drop kick. He's a great worker. And I don't know why they're not displaying that. Like you said, like, I don't know if it's a story with the whole him like losing the hair and he's trying to like find himself and find his game in the ring. But with the Tsuji match and now this match, it's been, it's kind of really slow, meandering kind of style where it heats up towards the end, but it kind of drags the first 2/3 of the match.
Yeah, I see a lot of like comparisons to like Rick Steamboat, but Rick Steamboat didn't work slow. He reminds me more of Triple H right now than he does Rick Steamboat. Why are you laughing?
I don't know.
That was the joke.
I was not expecting a Triple H comparison.
He's a fucking cerebral assassin out here, bro.
The game.
The cerebral means boring, is what that means. Oh, he's cerebral. He's fucking boring, bro. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, hopefully, it's a story they're trying to tell here. But it's unfortunately it's affecting the matches. Like the Tsuji match could have been better. This match could have been better.
Now here's the other thing too. Again, as I said earlier in the show, shaved head, red dye, allusions to Naito. He loses to Shingo. Maybe there's some teeth there. Shingo's part of LIJ. He's got the connections to Naito. Maybe this is leading to something down the line. I don't know. But this guy is kind of connected to those regular Musketeers, right? I'm not saying he should have beat Shingo, although that would have been crazy. But because of the fact that Umino already lost, now you have the Uemura losing. That's 2 of the 4 young guys already like out the gates, just boom, knocked off at the beginning of this tournament. And again, we're in a rebuilding phase. We need new stars. Maybe I'm talking out of turn because, spoiler alert, 2 of those guys do get through, but like, fuck, I don't know, man. Feels weird.
Yeah. So Shingo gets the win here. Post match, we did have Tsuji and Naito coming out. So Tsuji and Shingo are on the same side of the bracket, and they are teasing that, they're going to face off, and then the winner will win and then face Naito at Secure Genesis. And I think Naito has made comments about wanting an all LIJ main event for Secure Genesis. So that's the one interesting story we're getting here. It's like, all right, it's one of these LIJ guys. Like, what's going to happen? Like, are Tsuji and Shingo going to meet? And then what happens if one of these guys do win New Japan Cup and we get the face-off, either the Shingo Naito rematch or Tsuji Naito for the first time?
They're on the same side of the bracket, so the idea that they might face off is plausible, but they've been killing the hopes of special matches like that in this tournament so far. So I'm not going to hold my breath.
Yeah,
but
I mean, at this point, like Tsuji had his first match, and I'm like, they could beat Tsuji and totally blow up the chances of this match.
Right, but they really are kind of being heavy-handed with almost every night. There's some sort of instance where Naito, Tsuji, and Shingo are all standing, facing one another. And this kind of reminds me of back in the day during like G1 or during New Japan Cup when like Sonata and Naito would always have like a little bit of tension when they like were in the same block or whatever. So kind of similar to that situation.
Yeah. So then that leads us to night 4, March 10th. Show open up, we had Chase, Kenta, and Ishimori defeating Bishamon and Hanma. Then we had Doki, Sonata, and Uemura defeating Ishii, Yano, and Taguchi. Then we had Hikuleo, Jado, and Tangaloa defeating Finley, Gabe, Kidd, and Gato. Then Despy, Bolton Oleg, Shota Umino, and Yo defeated Evil, Jack Perry, Kanemaru, and Yujiro. Then the last tag match, we had Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, and Naito defeating Callum Newman, Francisco Akira, Great Okan, and TJP. And then that led us to the first tournament match of the evening. We had ELP defeating Mad Mikey Nichols, 13 minutes and 21 seconds.
So this was something that I got wrong on my bracket because I just sort of thought that with them potentially building to a TMDK challenging the new GOD for those strong tag team titles and the fact that Shane Haste wasn't in the tournament at all. Granted, I am a bit bigger of a fan of ELP at this point than I am of Mikey Nichols, and I'm kind of glad that he did win the match and he made it through in the tournament. But from a storytelling perspective, I sort of thought that Mikey Nichols was going to pull the upset, and that's what I had on my bracket. I was wrong once again, so a little surprised there actually.
Yeah, I thought with kind of what they were doing from like the anniversary show towards this match, I'm like, oh yeah, it does make sense for Nichols to win, and then down the line you have those guys maybe in Chicago defend against Haste and Nichols, but yeah, that's what they went with here, and I'm happy. I did book ELP to win because again, I was kind of like booking stuff I want to see. And I thought from a star perspective, it did
something that you didn't think was going to happen.
From a star perspective, I thought it made more sense to put ELP through and kind of get him, try to elevate him down the line here. So that was a pretty good match. I think people kind of sleep on Mikey Nichols, and when he's in there with the right guy, I think he has really good matches, and it's a pretty fun matchup here.
I agree. Pretty good. ELP picks up the win, and we move on. And another thing too, Zach and ELP had been interacting in preview matches prior to this, and that was the one tip off where I was like, oh, maybe my bracket was wrong, because it sort of seems like we might be getting Zach and ELP down the line in this tournament.
Yeah. So then following that, we had Ren Narita defeating Taichi 18 minutes and 54 seconds. House of Torture crushing the dreams of everybody that wanted to see Dangerous Techers in the next round.
I think this is the worst match of the tournament. I can't 100% be sure on that, but it was really, really, really bad. And I already it was so bad that I talked about it during the anniversary show review. That's how bad it was, because I was like, I gotta put this out there. So I'm not gonna reiterate all the same points, but fuck, the same points. Everything I said earlier, still true. Bad, real bad. And at 18 minutes, I don't usually, I don't have firm star ratings like you do, Jeremy, but like, if there was an app that let us go negative, I might be inclined to go like -1, -2 on this shit. Like it was bad. It was really, really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, all the House of Torture stuff turned up.
Oh yeah, they jumped him. Him and Kanemaru jumped him before the match started, and the referee was just like, ring the bell.
Yeah, and then Bolton he carried Kanemaru to the back. Yeah, and then from there you had all the shenanigans going forward. There you had Dick Togo coming out at one point when Taichi had the stretch plum on Narita, and Dick Togo came out, distracted the ref. Narita tapped out, but the ref didn't see it. And then you had the rest of House of Torture coming to the ring, and Taichi trying to fight all those guys off, and then Jack Perry comes out, and so just all shenanigans. And then Narita hits the X Factor onto Taichi and gets the win.
Here's what's the frustrating thing about it, aside from everything we've said already. They just had Taichi beat Shingo Takagi clean. And it feels like Shingo's going to fail up and go further in the tournament. Well, obviously he is. But it feels like he might potentially be somebody that could even be a finalist in the tournament, maybe win it hypothetically. And Taichi just beat him clean, 1, 2, 3. That felt like maybe the beginnings of a push, and now he's turning around and jobbing, albeit via cheating, but he's jobbing to Ren Narita. And again, I understand that we've been advocating for the young guys to do well, and this was the first of the young guys to make it in the tournament, but like Ren Narita with the fucking metal
push-up
bar,
bar.
like, yeah, this sucks.
Yeah, maybe if it was a Son of Strong style Narita, but yeah, House of Torture Narita, I'm not with it here.
This was an awful match, like truly, truly, truly terrible.
Yeah, we had a question here from Rambo and Slam Pig. Do you think that ZSJ versus Taichi is being saved for a bigger setting, or is it just not a direction we are likely to go in for the near future?
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is the winner of this match goes on to face Zack Sabre Jr. in the next round, who has a bye, and people were anticipating the reunion of the Dangerous Techers and this being like a really cool match. I'm sure they could do that in like a G1 if they really want to, but bro, it feels like they just did this for heat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And remember last week I said that they might do this, and they did it in a worse fashion than I could have ever imagined that was actually plausible. So I don't even know. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if the thought process was like, we're going to hold off on it, or we just don't want to do it. I think the thought process was heat. We just want to get heat.
Let's get that heat, brother.
Get that heat. That's it. That's all they care about. It's stupid.
Yeah. All right. Well,
and guys, this is not the kind of thing that makes people be like, I gotta tune in to see if they get their comeuppance. It's the kind of thing where you got me for the first time on the show being like, how long do we do this? That's what's called go away heat. It sucks.
Yeah, really, really bad. Go away heat here.
And bro, this is like the 4th year of House of Torture. This shit started during the pandemic in 2020.
Yeah, we were able to tame COVID, but we have not been able to tame the spread of House of Torture in New Japan.
How long did NWO last? Like, why is this company? Why is House of Torture still lasting? Like, why do they still exist?
No idea. So that takes us to the main event. We had Yota Tsuji defeating Jeff Cobb 21 minutes and 41 seconds.
Finally, a great match in the tournament. Best match of the tournament thus far.
Yeah, this absolutely rocked. Tsuji killed it here. The crowd was behind him the whole match, and him and Cobb worked really well together. There was a lot of really cool like power back and forth sequences between these guys, and of course Tsuji cranking up the lucha libre, hitting some big topes and hurricane ranas to try to outspeed Jeff Cobb. And yeah, this was a really, really awesome matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much more to add to that. Like these guys have a lot of really great chemistry. Um, I think for the time being, anytime we talk about these young guys, we're going to talk about them in relation to one another. And granted, I think that from time to time, Umino has had some really breakout performances, and at certain points, so did Narita. But for my money, the guy that consistently in the big spots is able to deliver with a variety of opponents, it's Suji, and he did some really cool inventive stuff here that we've never seen him do before. There was a big spot where he um, jumped up on the top rope and then springboarded back around and did a quasi drop kick. They called it a double stomp, but it was sort of like a missile drop kick to the top of the head of Cobb while he was bent over.
That was awesome.
It was just fucking sick. And Cobb had some really cool inventive counters for the Gene Blaster, and really
he caught one and turned it into a crucifix powerbomb. That was dope.
That was sick. Yeah. They had an awesome match, and this is like the kind of stuff that we used to see all throughout the tournament. I'm not going to sit here and say the tournament was necessarily a G1, but you saw more of this than what we've been getting the rest of the tournament. And this was just really awesome. I went 4.25 on this. 4.25. I'm not going to go 4.5, but like I'd go 4.25 plus on this. That's how good I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm right there in that range as well. And I just love towards the end, like Suji was just literally like unloading the clip on Cobb, like it's move after move, and like you just felt the momentum just falling with him, and the crowd's getting behind him. He's doing all his taunts, and he's feeling momentum, and then finally gets that one last Gene Blast, puts Cobb away. Yeah, the closing was awesome.
Yeah, the close was awesome. The match was awesome. And there's a bit of a story there too, because it's like, obviously Suji is looking for a date with, with him and Shingo, as well as Naito. And they talked about on commentary how like, basically like Suji has come out and said publicly, like, I'm not here to be a member of LIJ. Like I'll work with them and everything, but like, I want to be the champion. I want to be the top guy, and this is a means to an end. So it's sort of like a different version of the same story that they told with Jay White when he was initially a member of Chaos before he switched for the Bullet Club. So I feel like this whole alliance with Suji and LIJ is not going to end well, and probably going to result in some sort of other faction down the line, probably very, sooner rather than later. But at the same time, Cobb seems like the most likely leader to succeed Osprey when it comes to United Empire. And with everybody else in the tournament that was part of their group getting ousted and failing, he was the one like last gleaming hope for that group that seemed like you win this match, you sort of have a path laid out in front of you, you have a chance to win this whole thing. And he lost. And so it puts the entirety of United Empire on the back pedal once again. And good storytelling, great match, great main event. Post match was good. This was awesome.
Yeah, post match once again, Naito Shingo came out. We got that teasing again of potential Suji and Shingo match. Yeah, everything about this was awesome. Rambo and Slam Pig says, at the end of the first round, is there anyone whose performance or their booking / push have significantly outpaced your expectations? What about the reverse?
As far as who outpaced my expectations after the first round, probably Yoshihashi.
Mm-hmm.
As far as people that the reverse, I would say both Umino. I would say Umino. I would say Uemura. I would say Jack Perry.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement there with you. As far as like the push, I mean, you could say Yoshihashi, but I mean, he always works pretty hard. There was just honestly not really anybody that has exceeded my expectations. I feel like everybody who's doing good, like I'm not surprised Suji had a great match. I'm not surprised that Ishii had a great match with Chase Owens. So that people who are doing good, like it's not exceeding or a surprise. I mean, I am happy that it seems like Tsuji's getting the push here in the tournament, so that's been great. And yeah, I agree with you about the reverse that, yeah, you know, Perry, Uemura, and Umino. So moving on to the show that happened today, March 11th, we had Nichols and Sabre defeating Bolton Oleg and Choma Kato. Then we had Doki, Taichi, and Uemura defeating Despi, Hanma, and Ishii. Then we had Chase Owens and Kenta defeating Goto and Makabe. Then we had Jado, Tangaloa, and Umino defeating Finley, Gabe Kidd, and Gato. Then we had Evil, Narita, Kanemaru, and Yujiro defeating Phantasmo, Hikuleo, Taguchi, and Yo. And then the last tag match we had Callum Newman, Francisco Akira, Great Okan, Jeff Cobb, and TJP defeating Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, Naito, and Tsuji, which took us to our tournament matches. We had Jack Perry defeating Toru Yano, 8 minutes and 28 seconds.
Yeah, this one was fine. It kind of felt like, you know, the alternative would have been, if it hadn't been Yano, it would have been Yujiro.
Yeah.
And if we had Yujiro, it would have been one of those, let's too sweet each other. We're Bullet Club members. We're friends. And then they try to like roll each other up. And then it descends into, you know, shenanigans or whatever the fuck, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So this wasn't quite that, but, you know, it was Yano doing a bunch of quick roll ups and trying his damnedest to do every trick that he has in his playbook. Obviously, Yujiro was there and was trying to run interference as well, which is kind of funny because like Yujiro is not necessarily House of Torture. Oh no, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
See, bro, that's where we're at. Like, we're at a point where there's so many different members and subunits where I'm like, which guy is part of which group? Yeah, Yujiro was there and tried to, you know, utilize the handcuffs again, and this was just kind of goofy. And ultimately, like, there was cheating, there was distraction, and Jack Perry hit the running knee, which he's doing like a running knee as his like main finish now, which is fine. But I don't know if you noticed what did he his version of the STF, what does he call that?
Yeah, snare trap.
Yeah, he's used the snare trap many times in the past as like an actual like effective finish, and now nobody gets finished by it in New Japan just suddenly out of nowhere. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I noticed it's more kind of a setup move now, and he's been doing the kind of the regal knee trembler thing for the finish.
Yeah, so you know there was a ref distraction and everything like that, and he was able to use the knee. And I guess the best thing, it was only 8 minutes, but it was fine for what it was. It wasn't as entertaining as the first round match between Yujiro and Yano, surprisingly. But there was nothing here where I was like, damn, Jack Perry is killing it in this tournament.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for something good from him.
and the thing is, we know that he's capable of it. I mean, there was a time where, like, obviously we don't talk about AEW on this show too much, but like if you look at his track record on pay-per-view, like he's the fucking man, you know?
Yeah.
Say what you will about the guy when it comes to his you know, whatever else you want to criticize. When it comes to the work, the guy can he's incredible. But storytelling, you know, we gotta get these stories told. You know?
we need characters.
I mean, this character work.
Yeah. Yikes. Well, after that, we had Sonata defeating Yoshihashi in the main event, 23 minutes and 51 seconds.
Probably a bit longer than it needed to be, but it was the main event. And I totally expected to hate this match. I did. I thought that I was going to hate this match, but Yoshi, and I know that I sound like a hater being like, Yoshihashi's the reason this was good, you know, and just completely negating what Sonata brought to the table. Sonata did wrestle well, but it's what we've said for years and years. Like, nothing has changed in 2024 that we weren't saying in 2018. Sonata can work up to the level of somebody that's in the ring with him that brings him to a certain level. And that's what Yoshihashi was doing here. The match was fine. It was pretty good. And then it got to a point where Sonata started hitting Shining Wizards, and I thought that the match was about to be over. And it was only like the third quarter like point of the match, and it just kept going and going. And Yoshihashi like fought through and survived and like thrived and started hitting all of his huge signatures. And I was like, oh fuck, this match is getting like really awesome. And then, ultimately, yeah, Sonata does pick up the win, but Sonata gave so much to Yoshihashi. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because this is the guy who was the longest reigning IWGP World Heavyweight title in this current, iteration of the belt. And he's selling his ass off for Yoshihashi. So I don't know. He gave a lot to that guy and really put him over. But ultimately, he picks up the win. 1, 2, 3. I was a much higher on this match than I anticipated that I would be, because I was going into it totally expecting to hate it.
Yeah, I thought the match was pretty good. It wasn't great or anything. I wouldn't put it in the notebook, but I did think that Yoshihashi did show a lot of fire. Like we've been saying, yeah, he's a very fired up, motivated guy. He's going to work hard every night, whether he's in a tag with Goto, a 6-man tag with Chaos, or he's here in a singles opportunity. He's always going to work super hard. And yeah, I thought he went out here and had a really good outing here with Sonata.
Yeah, and I was hoping he would win. I was like, damn, let's tell one feel-good story, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah. So yeah, Sonata gets the big win here, and we'll continue on.
We are on the path to Jack Perry versus Sonata Part 2, and I was saying that jokingly last week, but it's really happening.
I said that you're making fun of that. I put that on the bracket, but I was like,
I'm sorry. I just I like the the girls on Teletalk. They're fun-loving girls. I'm a fun-loving guy. I just like to have I'm a fun-loving boy.
We have a question here. MJ says, what's been the most interesting storyline for you in this tourney so far?
There are stories happening. I don't know if I find any of them that interesting. I guess the only really interesting story is the headcanon one that I'm telling myself, where I'm like, can Sanat, Tsuji, or Shingo save us? But that's not the story they're telling. They're telling a interfactional story where these guys all have like beef and they're trying to prove who's the ace and blah blah blah. But for me, that's not the story. For me, the story is, can y'all save us from this bullshit? That's the story.
Yeah, I do like the whole stuff they're doing with Tsuji, Shingo, and Naito, and kind of teasing that. And it seems like we could get Tsuji and Shingo singles, and then I think the perfect scenario would be to have Tsuji beat Shingo, go to the finals, beat whoever on the left side, and then Sakura Genesis, you run Naito versus Tsuji. He probably won't win, but I think at least getting Tsuji in another title match and getting him in a big matchup like that would be great for him.
Well, we still have 3 guys with buys that have yet to become, to get involved in the tournament thus far, and that will kind of add a new wrinkle. The first one was Sonata, and we still got Goto, we still got Zack Sabre Jr., we still got Evil to kind of get involved in the tournament. Yeah. So
then Cozy Dr. Lariat says, with Ren and Yota being the only 2 Reiwa Gen guys to make it through to the second round, is it safe to say they are the only ones getting pushed because they have actual characters?
I wouldn't say that that's the case.
Yeah, I feel like Umino has a character.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
And I think even Uemura, I know he's kind of trying to find himself, but I feel like even before he shaved the head, like he was kind of developing a character, and now he's developing something new.
Right. I personally don't think that Ren Narita is getting a quote unquote push. I just think that he was a means to an end here, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like
they've shown a propensity to job that guy out more so than anybody else in the group.
Yeah, essentially it was like, all right, how can we get heat on this quadrant? Oh yeah, let's have Narita, cheat to beat Taichi and stop people from seeing Dangerous Tekkers fight.
Don't be surprised if G1 comes around and he is the pin eater / spoiler on the last few nights.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that is going to do it. We've got a few nights of New Japan Cup action coming up here over the next week. So, night 6 is coming up on March 12th. So, is that tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow.
In Uejima City, overall gymnasium. Second round match, Hiroki Goto versus Chase Owens, and as well as Tangaloa versus David Finlay. So, the winner of those two matches will be facing off against one another. I'm guessing just off the bat that it looks like we're probably getting Goto and David Finlay. I'd be shocked if we got anything else here.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. You have Goto beat Chase, and then at that point, both Bishamon would have beaten both Chase and Kenta. And then, yeah, you have Finlay kind of continue his failing up push. And so, yeah, Goto, Finlay.
Plus, I mean, if you think about it, what are the chances Tangaloa's beating David Finlay? I think that's basically...
I'd be flabbergasted.
Right. And are let's say Chase Owens pulls off the upset, are we getting an all Bullet Club match? I doubt that. So
yeah,
I think the Goto David Finlay, like if I could find a book to play some money, I would put a lot of money on this. So the next night, March 13th, New Japan Cup, night 7 from the Zip Arena in Okayama. We have second round match, Evil versus Hikuleo, as well as Shingo Takagi versus Gabe Kidd. Shingo versus Gabe Kidd should be fucking awesome. But
yeah, Shingo in the backstage comments, he said, Gabe, you and Hanare had a hell of a fight. Can we surpass that? So let's go.
Wow, yeah. I think they could probably. What are you thinking with these two?
I think we're going to get Shingo versus Evil. Also continue the whole Shingo storyline of potentially trying to face Naito. I think we're going to get a bunch of shenanigans of how the Torture will help Evil beat Hikuleo. And then we'll get that kind of LIJ lore matchup with Evil and first Shingo.
I'm thinking so too, especially since these two guys were deep in the G1 against one another last year. So I think we're going to get that rematch there. Plus, again, it's another situation where if Shingo were to lose to Gabe Kidd, because I don't think Evil's losing to Hikuleo, especially not after getting a bye.
Right.
So are we going to do Gabe Kidd versus Evil, Bull Club versus Bull Club? Again, that doesn't work.
Yeah. So yeah, Evil versus Shingo.
Night 8, March 15th, Osaka, Kanaoka Park Gymnasium. Round 2 action. We have El Phantasmo versus Yota Tsuji. That should rock. And then the main event is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ren Narita, which that could have rocked, but maybe not anymore.
It rocked at Wrestle Kingdom that one year.
Yeah, that one time, and we're finally running it back. So this is a little bit tougher to call.
Yeah, because they did tease ELP and Sabre, and they're doing the whole Tsuji storyline as well, and they're giving House of Torture a push in this tournament. So this is the one night where I feel like it can go multiple ways, but I feel like Tsuji is going to beat Phantasmo to get him closer to facing Shingo, and then honestly, Sabre Ren Narita, I can see it going either way to make sense to go against Tsuji. If they really want to get heat, you could have Narita cheat to knock Sabre out, a big upset, and then you do Narita versus Tsuji.
So I really don't. I would be so shocked if Narita beat Zack Sabre Jr. I don't see that being realistic, but it is the New Japan Cup. You just never know. But I would be fine with Zack versus ELP or Zack versus Yota Tsuji just from a personal fan standpoint. But I'm kind of hoping it ends up being Tsuji and Zack.
Yeah, that match would be great, and that's the kind of match that I think that Tsuji needs to continue to elevate.
Yeah, I know there's probably some people listening. They want to see like Narita, Tsuji, the young guys go at it, that sort of thing. And, you know, I get it, but Narita just fucking sucks right now. So,
yeah, I'm all in on doing Tsuji and Zack.
That's what I'm predicting as well. So, though my brackets have been busted, a lot of the final outcomes I was sort of anticipating at this stage of the game is still plausible. So, March 16th, night 9, IG Prefectural Gymnasium, quarterfinal match. The winner of Sonata and Yoshihashi will face the winner of Toriano and Jack Perry, as well as the winner of David Finlay, Tangaloa, face the winner of Chase Owens and Hiroki Goto. So we're kind of predicting that it's going to be Sonata Jack. Well, we already know it's going to be Sonata Jack Perry. And then we're thinking it's going to be David Finlay versus Hiroki Goto that night, correct?
Yeah. And
so
then,
the winner of those matches will face one another. So I think for sure David Finlay is going to go through.
yeah, I think, yeah, Finlay Sonata, you run back last
So
year's.
it's probably David Finlay Sonata.
Yeah, you run back last year's New Japan Cup final.
Okay. Then on night 17, you've got the winner of Evil Hikuleo fighting the winner of Shingo and Gabe Kidd. So we kind of said we think it's going to be Evil and Shingo. And then on later that same night, the winner of Tsuji ELP fights the winner of Ren Narita, Zack Sabre Jr. We were predicting Zack versus Tsuji. So you can go one of, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go with that one.
Yeah. So on the left side, we're saying Sonata, Finlay. I kind of feel like Finlay's going to win that one to avenge the loss from last year's New Japan Cup.
I agree. Plus, I don't think that Sonata has any business being in one of these finals right now after losing back-to-back title matches.
Yeah, so yeah, I think Finlay's definitely coming in from that left side, and then the right side, I would do Shingo versus either Tsuji or Zack.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, man,
of course it could be either of them. I mean, we've seen Tsuji, or we've seen Zack and Shingo in the tournament finals or semifinals recently, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
I think last year they were in the semifinals together.
Yeah, I think so.
Here's the thing. I think Evil could even potentially win. I just don't think Evil definitely wouldn't go on to face David Finlay, but he could win and be the guy that faces off against either Zack or Tsuji.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Shingo, Tsuji, or Zack are all plausible guys to get through to face Finlay. So this is a tough call.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing to do would be to have Tsuji get the upset win over Zack. You do Tsuji versus Shingo, have Tsuji beat Shingo, and then the final is Tsuji versus Dave Finlay.
At this point, I'm riding with Tsuji. I want Tsuji to be the guy that wins the whole thing, just because, Zack at this point, unless they're going to have Zack win the title, I don't think it makes sense for him to go much further in the tournament. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If Zack is challenging for the title at this point, he needs to win the title. That's where I'm at with Zack.
Yeah.
And Shingo would be fine. I'd be happy if Shingo were the guy to go through, and he could either be the person that lays down for Finlay or picks up the big win and goes on and does a big money gate with Naito. But the real person who needs the rub more than anybody else here is Tsuji. And I think Tsuji versus David Finlay in the finals, that's neither guy has ever, Dave Finlay's been to the finals, but he's never won the tournament. Tsuji's never been there. That's a big, where do we go from here? What's next? Like, we don't know. So,
yeah. And I think the thing that hurts Zack is, they're not going to do an all foreigner final, and Finlay's definitely coming through on the left side. So you're not going to do Finlay Sabre as your final. So it's definitely going to be Finlay versus either Evil, Shingo, or Tsuji. And I think the most interesting thing, like you said, is to do Tsuji. You give Tsuji the bigger win over Finlay, and then you can let Finlay chase Nemeth again and have Tsuji versus Naito at Sakura Genesis.
Well, if you have Tsuji go through, right, sure, you could have him face off with Evil, and that would be fine. Me personally, and at the same time, oh man, Evil is the never champion, isn't he?
Yeah, so if you wanted, if Shingo beats him, then you could do Shingo Evil for the never title, or if you have Tsuji be the one to beat Evil, but then lose to Naito, then you could do Tsuji versus Evil.
They've been teasing the Evil or I'm sorry, the Shingo and Suji thing so much. I would love for them to just follow through with it. I know that that's not a guarantee that they're going to, but I would love for them to just do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would much rather have Shingo be the guy that beats Evil and is the next challenger in line as opposed to Suji, mainly because if Suji beats Evil, then we know he's losing the finals for sure at that point. And I don't want it to be that telegraphed.
Mhm.
So I think because again, Evil is the never champion. If he beats Evil in the semifinals to go to the finals, he's for sure not beating David Finlay. But if he beats Shingo, then he has a chance to win.
Yeah, and I hope that's what they go with. I think Suji Finlay is just, yeah, like you mentioned, it's just a more interesting matchup. Suji has proven to hit out the park every big match scenario he gets in.
Yeah, and for all the complaints and inconsistencies when it comes to David Finlay, when the time comes to pull the trigger and have him go, he can go. Maybe not always with 100% effectiveness, but more often than not, it's really good. So I hope that it's him and Suji. But finishing things up, March 18th, semifinals. That's the day we're recording. So between now and next week, we've got 6 nights of action in the next 7 days. So they're not letting up whatsoever. And then next week we'll record. We will preview the finals and then review it the next week. So let's jump into the news and get out of here with New Japan Strong Women's Champion. A new champion has been crowned as CMLL. Stephanie Vaquer defeated Julia on Sunday's Stardom event at Cork and Hall to win the championship for the first time, pinning the former champion with a roll-up. This ended Julia's run with the title after 243 days, defeating the first ever champion Willow Nightingale at Strong Independence Day on July 5th of last year. And then in other news, the Best of Super Junior tournament will be on May 11th in Chiba, and it will run till June 9th with the finals at Osaka-jo Hall at the Dominion show. So usually the finals are the week before Dominion, and at Dominion, the winner challenges for the title, but the semifinals will be on June 3rd at Korakuen Hall. The key dates are May 13th at Korakuen, May 19th at Dolphins Arena in Nagoya, May 22nd in Osaka, May 26th in Yoyogi Gym in Tokyo, May 30th at Korakuen, and then May 32nd at Korakuen as well. So big departure. The actual finals of the Super Juniors are going to take place at Dominion, and then I guess the winner will, who knows at that point.
Yeah, that's a really interesting setup they did here because, yeah, usually you get your big junior title match from Super Juniors at Dominion. So I'm wondering why the change there and doing the finals there. Like, what's the junior champion going to do on Dominion then if they're not defending the title? So kind of an interesting thing there.
Yeah, I agree. We will see. I'm assuming that the winner, if it's not the actual IWGP junior champion, will get a title shot at a later date. It just remains to be seen when that would be, because the G1 follows right after Dominion.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I kind of like that because in a situation like last year where like Wato wins the tournament and then he immediately faces Hiromu and loses, and he like lost all that momentum by winning the tournament. If you kind of space a title match out, at least the winner kind of has a little bit of time to kind of brag about winning, and then you can build up the match.
Yeah, but they take the juniors take such a big back step during the G1 that they could actually lose momentum because there's so much focus on the heavyweights that like they don't come back into play until like October usually.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there might be a junior heavyweight title challenge in play for a big show in the US.
I mean, they could do Forbidden Door.
That's true.
That's true. What if an AEW guy?
What if an AEW guy wins?
Yep, and then you do
what the fuck?
The AEW guy challenges. Well, at this time, show at Forbidden Door.
Wow. Okay. All right. I didn't think of that. All right. Well, Jeremy, let's jump into these questions. Get the fuck out of here.
Rambo and Slam
I
Picks.
need time to sit and reflect on what we've discussed tonight.
Rambo and Slam Picks says, what do you think is going to happen with the Never Six-Man titles? It seems weird they haven't even been mentioned.
I forgot about them. I guess they did too.
Yeah, somebody, I think on commentary they kind of mentioned, I think in the Ishii match, vacating the title or something like that. But I think they're probably going to wait until there's a lull time and you can do a tournament. Like, they don't really need them right now.
Yeah, that's true.
MJ says, is Great Okan working or is he shooting in these backstage comments? He made some inside baseball remarks about Naito and Kadani and the failure of the Strong Spirits app. What's the angle here?
I don't know. People are allowed to just say whatever the fuck they want backstage, apparently. So I haven't seen those comments. I did see, though, that he mentioned he was in some sort of Golden Boy movie. I don't know if you heard about that, Jeremy.
No.
Yeah, apparently he was in a movie called Golden Boy. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is here.
Next question here from Foot Impossible 27.
He didn't even answer it.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't even see these comments that Okan made, but we've already said people in the backstage comments
just moving on, thinking you're slick. Now you're saying shit.
Foot Impossible 2791 says, thoughts on the firing of Kevin Kelly by AEW and what it could mean for the future. Personally, the new commentary team has really grown on me, and I like it to stay as is for now.
Yeah, Kevin Kelly got fired by AEW. Jeremy, I don't watch Collision, so I couldn't really tell you how well he did or didn't do, or anything. The one thing I will say, and far be it for me to criticize someone that I respect, but I don't know if airing your grievances concerning your professional position in the company during Sting's retirement weekend was the wisest decision.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, I don't want to play conspiracy theorist, but I don't know. Maybe he wanted out. I could only speculate. I don't know what the issues were. I don't know what I just don't know. I don't know enough. But it does, as far as where he goes from here, there's only so many options in the world of professional wrestling today. I mean, he could easily go back to WWE, or he could always backslide back into a New Japan role. I don't know how likely any of that is, but those are options that he has. And then, there's the other tiers that kind of exist out there, like Impact, or I'm sorry, TNA, MLW, the Indies, that sort of stuff. GCW, NWA, yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever a good timing to air your grievances on social media. Like, you're a grown adult, like, talk to your boss behind closed doors and talk about the issue, and if you want to leave, then ask for a release or whatever. But yeah, I didn't think it was the wisest move to go on X, Twitter, or whatever, and kind of go on this big rant about his commentary and everything that's going on with Ian Riccoboni. And yeah, I mean, if he wants to, part of the reason for leaving New Japan was wanting to be in the States, spend more time with his family. So I don't know how much he wants to go back to New Japan. I don't know if that's an option. Plus, the yen's down. I don't know if they can actually afford him now. So yeah, I think that the move for him, for money wise, would be the angle for WWE. And also, he had a long tenure there, back in the 90s, early 2000s, before leaving and then becoming the main commentator for Ring of Honor. So, and who knows? And with Vince not being there, and I think Michael Cole has more of a say on what happens in commentary, maybe that's a possibility.
The one thing I will say, though, again, I'm not intimately involved in this shit, but it's a little less high profile. But Ian did do the exact same shit that he did, just on Discord with VOW.
Yeah.
But when and I'm not sticking up for Kevin because, well, Kevin's a grown man. He can stick up for himself. But when Kevin says that this guy libeled him, I don't know if I would consider what he said full on libel, but he did publicly blast Kevin Kelly in a public forum, which at the time when he did that, I was thinking that they would get rid of Ian, and they didn't, but they did get rid of Kevin. So who knows what the story is there?
Yeah, and I know everybody loves Ian, and I guess Kevin maybe ruffled some feathers in AEW. And I didn't watch Collision every week, but I watch it every once in a while, and I know he did not hit the same as he was in New Japan, especially when they brought Tony Schiavone in to kind of take the lead spot from him, and he was kind of on the side. Wasn't his best stuff for me personally. So who knows? And there is rumors that Tony Khan wasn't happy, and also that's why they put Tony Schiavone on there of him and Nigel, and maybe Kevin's wasn't happy about that.
I wonder how much of that is just public fan discourse, though.
Yeah,
because I think that, me personally, just from what I've seen, I think Tony is very tuned in to what people are saying, and even sometimes gotten to by the public discourse. And you hear people like, this guy, he's a conservative, 50s, and the guy's in his 50s from Pennsylvania, and he shares the fucking thing about Sound of Freedom or whatever, and people are like, oh, he's a QAnon guy, and then Tony's like, oh, the fans don't like him, this guy fucking done.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of it was him actually not liking the work versus not liking the Twitter discourse about the work itself, whether it was valid or not.
Yeah, because even outside of the Sound of Freedom thing, there were people who vocally criticized Kevin even before that on Collision, and not liking Kevin on Collision at all.
There's a lot of people. Well, no, because that was sort of happening around the same time. But yeah, like there's a lot of people that were clowning on him and talking shit and everything. And I'm wondering if like Tony was in any way influenced by just the discourse itself.
Maybe.
I think it's possible.
Yeah. Next question here from Surprise Trex Toy. Do we need a new booker/booking team?
I would say we need new ideas. Something needs to change, but the amount of times we get this question week in and week out is not a good sign.
Yeah. Next question from Hyper Chicken 666. Do you think younger guys like the Reiwa Three Musketeers and Uemura are going to get moved to the world title contention sooner rather than later? Or while they're still in these early stages of their careers, would NJPW be better off elevating some of their lower card but popular guys like ZSJ, Taichi, Shingo, etc.?
I don't think that those are mutually exclusive. They need to be doing both of those things.
Right. There's enough big shows, there's enough titles where, you could be utilizing Zack, Taichi, and Shingo, but then also, elevating the Musketeers and Uemura.
But it doesn't feel like they're doing either of those things actively.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with this right side of the bracket, but I don't know what they're doing. Next questions here from Bungholio _ the Mighty. Would New Japan send a young lion on excursion to AEW?
I think there's been talks of that, so hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, I mean they've sent Okada, they sent Will Ospreay.
Oh my God, shut the fuck up.
Sent Jay White. Lots of young lions on excursion right now. He also says, do you think the powers that be in NJPW could have pulled the trigger on Shota Umino and have him win the Never title from Evil at New Beginning and Sapporo Night 1, or are they planning a longer storyline with him and the House of Torture?
I mean, they should have had him beat Will Ospreay is what they should have had him do, but I digress.
Yeah, he should have. Yeah, he should be U.S. champion right now.
I don't know, U.S. title.
Right. But yeah, I mean, after beating Narita, I think the next logical step would have had him to beat Evil. But yeah, clearly there is a longer story for this whole House of Torture thing. So
too long.
Yeah, maybe at Dominion. Who knows? Last question 7252. What rivalry do you think is going to represent New Japan in the next few years? Right now, you have Tsuji versus Uemura and Umino versus Narita, but I think it all comes down to Tsuji versus Umino.
I agree. As of right now,
Yeah, that's the big money match if they can stop beating Umino. His next question: do you see our Bullet Club leader Gabe Kidd tweet to Megan Thee Stallion? Gabe is a real one.
Yeah, that's fucking funny.
Yeah, this man Gabe Kidd's looking for his African queen. uh, Next set of questions here from Def Triangle 720. Do you think New Japan isn't taking advantage of the talent pool on the freelance side of Japan instead of relying on Gaijin talent?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if at the same time, a lot of the freelance talent who are quote unquote freelance are tied to other outside groups. So even if they're not contracted to say All Japan or Big Japan or what have you, they're associated with those groups. The same way how like for years and years now, Suzuki or even like Sonata, they were contractors, but they rarely, if ever, worked outside groups because they were mainly still beholden to New Japan. So there's still conflicts of interest there, even when somebody is a contractor, but or a freelancer. But yeah, I would agree with that. I think that there's probably a lot of upside to bringing in freelance talent. And they have to some extent, but I think they should do more of that.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't really know who are the top freelancers in Japan right now. But I do feel like a lot of the top ones are a little bit older too. So maybe they're kind of hesitant to bring in some of the older guys. He also asks, what do you think about the setup title matches coming outside of the tournament, like Bishamon versus Owens and Kenta?
I'm confused about the question. What do we think about the setup title matches coming? You mean coming inside of the tournament?
So after the tournament's over, we're gonna get Bishamon versus Kenta and Chase.
It's better. Hopefully they win, and hopefully these guys aren't champions anymore. So
yeah, we need to get the belts back on Bishamon ASAP. He asked, do you think it's concerning that a majority of New Japan talent are in the 40s?
Yes, and it's been concerning for a number of years now. We've been talking about how, the writing's been on the wall.
Yeah, and again, just even more reason why it's time to be pushing these young guys. With Okada now in AEW and Tsuji mentioning Okada in backstage comments and in its promos, do you think having Tsuji versus Okada at Forbidden Door 3 would be the smart move?
No, I mean, maybe if there's money in it, but as of right now, I feel like no. I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to have Tsuji jobbing to Okada.
Yeah, I think the only good thing about doing Tsuji versus Okada is I feel like it would elevate Tsuji in Western fans' eyes. But outside of that, I don't think it would be great for him in Japan. He also asked, hypothetically, let's say New Japan decide to bring back the V4 and the IC belt. How would you handle it?
I'm not going to answer the question just because it's too implausible at this point, honestly.
So you think the Puro scene could use a change in their tour format?
I don't know. I don't know what the business metrics really are because they're a live touring company, and unless there's something to substitute the money that they make on those tours, like a big money guarantee from like a television deal or pay-per-view or some other supplemental income, I don't know what they need to change. Maybe they could change the structure of the tours, but that's kind of beyond my purview. I couldn't tell you what they need to do to succeed in that way.
Yeah, unless a TV company is going to be shoot out, $1 million like here in the States, like I don't see that format changing at all. Like the TV money is not there in Japan like that. If it was, then yeah, these companies should angle for a TV deal, but yeah, the money is not there like that. His last question, do you think New Japan should have changed their plans by having Despy and Hiromu in the New Japan Cup?
Yeah, I think that would have been pretty awesome and really improved things, but at the same time, they probably would have been doing jobs, and I don't know if they want them doing jobs to heavyweights like that.
Yeah, they'd probably be out in the first round at this rate. Last set of questions here from Hawaiian Punch BB. First, he says, if President Tanahashi approves of Shingo's 20th anniversary show in Yamanashi. Do you think they'll allow Shingo to book any special outside talent? His idol, Onita? His generational rival BB Hulk?
Maybe. I don't see that would be entirely impossible. He did earlier this year. Oh God, what's wrong with me? Who did he wrestle in fucking Dragon Gate earlier this year?
Oh, I'm blanking.
Bro, me too.
I forgot who he was. Yeah, he did do that at Dragon Gate show this year.
Yeah, like, and the name is on the tip of my tongue, but I can't fucking think. They wrestled Mochizuki. Yeah, he wrestled Mochizuki earlier this year in Dragon Gate, which that's another match we need to kind of review for recommended match of the week, because that match was incredible. But yeah, I mean, maybe they bring in one of the old Dragon Gate guys, or Onita. I don't think that's impossible. We've seen outside guys come in before.
Yeah, especially in the last couple of years, we saw the All Together show again. We saw the Junior Festival. So also New Japan is very open right now to working with other companies. So yeah, I think that they would do that for Shingo. Next question: with the passing of Yutaka Yoshi, what was your favorite moment / match of his? If he didn't go freelance, how would you think his NJPW career have went in the post Inokiism era?
Yeah, we didn't bring it up in the news, but Yutaka Yoshi, ex New Japan talent, but somebody that has been more so in recent years associated with All Japan as well as Noah, passed away after working a match this past weekend for All Japan. He was 50 years old, and I don't know that anything in particular during the match caused it, but he just went backstage, wasn't feeling good, and health continued to decline. They took him to the hospital, and he unfortunately passed away. I don't have a wealth of knowledge. I know it's surprising for me, but I don't have a lot of exposure to Yutaka Yoshi's work. I know that I've seen a few matches where he was tagging with Tanahashi in Tanahashi's early days during the Nokiism period. I think they held the IWGP tag team titles together, but I'm sure some of that stuff's going to be made available on World posthumously. But I personally don't really have a wealth of knowledge about him as a worker or his legacy or anything of that nature, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him at all either. I did see them post about his passing, but yeah, I've not seen a match of his. I'm not familiar with him at all. But yeah, it's very sad to hear about his passing, especially only 50 years old. Really sad. And his last question: thoughts on Ngannou getting slept by Joshua? With Joshua looking strong against Wallen and Ngannou, two guys Tyson Fury struggled against. How would a hypothetical Fury versus Joshua match go? Do you think that it's just a case of Fury fighting down to his level of competition? Fury did look mildly worried after Joshua knocked Ngannou out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with Tyson Fury at this point, but I mean, look, people can say what they fucking want about Anthony Joshua. I get it. It's easy to rag on the guy. He got knocked out by Andy Ruiz in very embarrassing fashion, and he lost to Usyk twice in a row. But like, facts are facts, and this is the fact of the matter. This guy won a gold medal in the fucking Olympics. All right. They don't just give you gold medals in the Olympics unless you're literally one of the best, amateur talents in the entirety of the world, or even of all time. Like, it's one of the hardest things that you could possibly do in sport. Beyond that, I'm not going to sit here and say that his legacy or even in a mythical hypothetical match, head-to-head matchup, that he's better than Fury or even Wilder. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to resumes, nobody out of those three guys and out of anybody in their generation, nobody's beaten as many top-ranked contenders or top-ranked fighters as Anthony Joshua has. I mean, you can look at his, record. I mean, and obviously not all of these guys are of the same caliber, but I mean, Matt Skelton, Michael Sprott, Kevin Johnson, Dillian White, Charles Martin, Dominic Breazeale, Eric Molina, Vladimir Klitschko, Carlos Takam, Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin, Andy Ruiz Jr., Kubrat Pulev, Robert Helenius, Otto Wallen. Like, he has the deepest resume of any heavyweight fighter in this generation, and that's just a fact. Getting to the fight itself, I had multiple friends reach out to me. I don't really gamble myself, but I had lots of friends reaching out to me, asking me, should they put money on Ngannou? And I said, absolutely not. I thought that Anthony Joshua was going to sleep him. They were surprised by that. They kind of thought that Anthony Joshua would go to a decision with him. I was like, no, he's going to knock him out. He's going to use his distance the same way he did with Andy Ruiz Jr. The difference being that Ngannou can't box with him. And I was like, he'll probably knock him out like in the first. I thought it would be the first round, but it was the second round. And
well, he did knock him down in the first round.
He dropped him once in the first round and then twice in the second. And when he dropped him the second time in the second round, like, Ngannou was not out, but I was screaming at the TV and I was like, dude, they need to stop it because he's gonna get up, but he's out. He's totally done right now. And moments later, it was completely, lights out. Like, oh, fucking, he got killed. I was scared because he didn't get up for a really, really, really long time. And yeah, I mean, it was easy work for Anthony Joshua. Honestly, I think Tyson Fury just didn't really train for that fight. And according to all reports, that's kind of the case. There's also reports that after the last Wilder fight that Tyson Fury has had a lot of issues health-wise, as well as mental, as well as motivation. So who knows? I don't even know if we're ever going to get the Tyson Fury and Usyk fight to even happen. But I did hear that Anthony Joshua's new trainer is Tyson Fury's previous trainer from a few years ago. So that seemed to be that has seemed to help him in his last few fights. His footwork has looked really, really good. His movement, his timing, and his space management. And he's always had a killer punch. Obviously, he's not the one hitter quitter that Wilder is, but I mean, he's got a lot more power than, say, Tyson Fury. That's always been the case. And I just, unfortunately, if this was a different fight, if Ngannou was allowed to elbow, punt, or, elbow,
takedown,
suplex, trip, clinch, choke, sub, knee, kick, any of that stuff, he'd undoubtedly destroy Anthony Joshua. But this was a boxing match, and he is not a boxer, and he'll never be at the same level. The gap is just way too far. I commend him for what he did against Tyson Fury, last year. That was incredible, but he was not going to do that to Anthony Joshua. And I don't think if he fought Tyson Fury again that he'd be able to do it. I think he'd get knocked out by Tyson Fury if they fought again, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest boxing person, but I do know that, a MMA guy is not going to have an easy time outboxing a boxer. Like you mentioned, like this is not, he couldn't throw elbows and all that stuff. Like he was having to box him. And as somebody as talented as Anthony Joshua, like, you're just not going to go in there and outbox him.
I will say this. I thought he looked pretty crisp for what he was able to do, which wasn't a lot, but just his movement. I thought he looked sharp. He had a couple good, but he was doing the same stuff that he did in the fight with Tyson Fury, but he looked pretty good. But damn, when he got hit with those straight rights, like it was fucking over.
Yeah. Well, all right, that is the last question there. Last thing, recommended match of the week.
I'll start first. So you had recommended Kojima versus Suzuki from Intimidation Games with MLW for the MLW World Heavyweight title. And this was pretty good. It wasn't great. Not anything that I think should get recommended for, like, say, Excursion Fight of the Year. But, Kojima apparently injured or tore his MCL and had to have surgery and returned and fucking still kept the date and had this match. And, they worked around the injury in a way that was plausible enough, considering the style of work that Suzuki and Kojima do with one another. And it mainly consisted of Suzuki, putting Kojima in tons of submission holds and working the legs and telling a story that he was targeting both legs to kind of take the base out from Kojima, which made a lot of sense. And considering the injury and his knee being all wrapped up, got a lot of sympathy from the crowd. And then aside from that was them just, strong style, lots of chops, lots of uppercuts, European uppercuts and stuff like that. And them just going to war. Match wasn't overly long. It didn't overstay its welcome. And then down the stretch, Kojima, was able to get a Koji cutter, kind of turned the tide, and then started hitting lariats. And after I think like 4 or 5 of those, put Suzuki down for the 1, 2, 3. Probably one of the better Suzuki US title matches in quite a while, honestly. But I think it's mainly because Suzuki, it was like a stage that's a little bit higher than him working, just your normal shindy, dream match, quote unquote, or whatever. Plus needing to kind of carry the load for the fact that Kojima is still dealing with an injury actively.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Definitely one of the better US. He's not working some like little GCW show. I mean, MLW has been putting on some bigger shows, and it's one of their pay-per-view events. So yeah, he looked good, and yeah, I mean, I'm loving the renewed push of Kojima and MLW. It's something I've been asking for a while now, and yeah, I mean, MLW is kind of like low-key been getting better. A lot of interesting stuff's been happening there on their show, and bringing in some interesting guys. They're doing the whole fact thing with CMLL guys coming in and either going with the Lucha Underground guys team, Cesar Aran's team, or Celia de la Renta's team. But yeah, this feud with Suzuki and Kojima was a really fun matchup here, and Kojima retains there after a big lariat. So yeah, really fun matchup. And then you recommended Zack Sabre Jr. versus Connor Mills from Rev Pro. High stakes. I thought this match was awesome, and it's one of those matches where, if people say that, oh yeah, Zach only does, a bunch of holds. Well, there was a lot of really hard striking in this matchup here. And I thought there was a lot of great striking sequences, especially towards the end. There was like throwing back and forth slaps at each other. And it's really, really, this was probably one of the best Connor Mills matches I've seen in a while. I've seen some of his stuff from Rev Pro, but I think he's improved a lot. He really hung in there with Zach. There's a spot I really loved where he was going, I don't know if he was trying to do like a torture rack or like a reverse GTS or something like that, but he had Zach up in torture rack position, but Zach had his head hooked in like a bulldog choke kind of sleeper kind of thing. I thought that was a really kind of cool counter, and he struggled to like do his move after that, but there's lots of great stuff there, lots of obviously great submissions and counters from Zach there, and Zach ends up getting the win. Really awesome matchup. I would say this is probably, as of right now, could be in contention for Excursion Match of the Year.
I thought this was blow away. Like I was, did you watch the Michael Oku versus Will Ospreay match from the same card?
No, I have not watched that match yet.
Okay. So I watched that match, and I was going to actually talk about it on the week when you were off the show, and I mentioned it earlier in my recording, and then I just forgot to kind of bring it up. And I thought the match was really, really, really good, and I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was great, but like the kinds of ratings it was getting was like, holy shit, this is one of the greatest like literally, like Dave said that it was greater than than Danielson and CSJ like from a week prior, and I was like, there's no it's not. But this was on the same card, and I thought it blew that match away. Personally, I just thought it was incredible. You know what it kind of reminded me of? The level of work that they were doing with one another. The way that they were working was like very few people in the world of wrestling could do this match in this style right now. And it kind of reminded me of like when Benoit and Angle used to wrestle, where it just felt really real and fluid and like just unique. That's sort of what this the kind of vibes that this match gave to me. And they just like they worked at such a fast pace
The whole match.
the whole entire match. There was no downtime, but it's all technical, but it's all hard hitting. This was even a faster pace than the Danielson and Zach match. I'm not going to say it was better because but it's not that far off in quality. Like right now, man, between this match and then the Jordan Breaks match that I recommended earlier in the year, and then the Danielson matches, like ZSJ is on another fucking level. Like right now, like he's on his way to potentially having a very realistic, contention to be wrestler of the year in 2024. Obviously, there's other names out there like Zach and stuff like that are going to have something to say about that. But like, fuck, he's having an incredible year. And this match was blow away. Like, I don't know, man, 4.5 plus.
Yeah, I was 4.5 on it. Yeah,
it was so good. And then the finish was awesome. Like he beat him with multiple penalty kicks, which I don't remember him ever beating somebody with strikes like that.
Yeah, I don't think he has. And earlier in the match, Connor Mills was like throwing the penalty kicks as well. So it's kind of a story like thread throughout the match. And so then Sabre, yes, with the multiple kicks gets the win.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this match, I highly recommend go out of your way, watch Connor Mills versus Zack Sabre Jr. It is better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was awesome.
A couple quick things I just wanted to point out. March 16th, there's been an announcement that Musashi and Doki are going to wrestle in a one-on-one match at Michinoku Pro's 31st anniversary. And this is Musashi's last match with Michinoku Pro before he goes freelance.
Interesting, against a New Japan guy, which he's probably going to end up in New Japan.
Yep. And then also there was a match kind of. The only reason I know about it is because it was mentioned by TJP in the backstage comments, but there's a company in the Northeast called Relentless Wrestling. Filthy Tom Lawler was their champion, and TJP defeated Tom Lawler for the Relentless heavyweight wrestling title on February 24th, and that match is available for free on YouTube now.
I was trying to find that on Cage Match, but it wasn't coming up.
It's not on Cage Match. Yeah, it's weird. But I'm seeing some comments here, and it looks like people are saying it was a really good match. So I don't know. Maybe we should watch that this week.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
So, do you have anything that you want to recommend for us?
I've been hearing great things about the Bad Dude Tito Matt Riddle match from that same MLW show that Kojima and Suzuki wrestled. And that match is on New Japan World.
Okay, cool. Well, we will watch both of those. They're both available. And we will be back next week. By the time we come back next week, we will know who is in the finals of the New Japan Cup.
Yeah, we'll either be one step closer to quitting or there might be a glimmer of hope.
Come on, Tsuji.
Yes.
If anything else, that might be the story where like all of this shit is being booked so that the marks like us will buy into Tsuji.
Yes. And Gene Blast we trust. Well, that's going to wrap things up for us this week. Next week we'll be back, like you mentioned, to review the second round quarterfinals and preview the semifinals and finals of the New Japan Cup. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider making a donation. Visit socialsuplex.com/donate. Click on the donate button under the Keeping a Strong Style logo. Make sure you connect with us on social media. On X, follow us at KI Strong Style. Follow the network at Social Suplex. Follow me at Jeremy L. Donovan. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/Social Suplex and the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, and Josh is Keeping a Strong Style. On YouTube, we're at Social Suplex. Join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans, and you can email me, Jeremy at socialsuplex.com. Check out all the other shows that we have here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, hosted by Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite, hosted by Floyd Johnson Jr. and Austin Sumowitz. Imps WWE Adventure with the Implications, Matthew Mayer. Wrestling Art with Chris Things, Tunnel Talk with Ali and Leah, and the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review, and we will catch you next week on Keeping It Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Itchy Bond.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.